The place you want to go. Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
The place to get caught up, to speak out, to connect and be entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
12 noon, 59 degrees. Cloudy with some rain coming tonight from the WTMJ Breaking News Center. I'm Eric Bilstead. So what happens now? Senate Republicans and Assembly Republicans are at odds over a key ingredient in the shared revenue bill. The measure passed by the Assembly on Wednesday, which would provide funds to governments across the state, would require a referendum on a sales tax for Milwaukee City and County. Well, the Assembly says that referendum is a must and is required for it to pass through. But Senate Leader Devin LeMahieu tells the Associated Press that the Senate will likely remove that provision.
I've been in the same spots, both in the Assembly and then in the Senate, where we've had a bill, we negotiated it, one house passed it, the other house made changes, it brought back, we discussed it, and we passed it together. I think we can see that happen again.
It's Waukesha County Executive Paul Farrow, who expects negotiating to continue despite the fact that the Assembly Speaker, Robin Vos, has said that they are done negotiating and that a bill that would pull the referendum out would not pass through the Assembly. In Mequon, a man dead and the DOJ now investigating after a police shooting at a home in Mequon Wednesday afternoon. This happened when several officers responding to a report of a neighborly dispute. A man exited his house, fired shots at police. They returned fire. That man was killed. No police were injured. Meanwhile, a new round of police officer recruitment begins tomorrow. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman tells 1017 The Truth that he wants prospective officers to have a sense of commitment to the city.
I want people to be part of this effort because they want to be, because they feel that there is something they can add to the particular work that's being done. Don't come to us with talking about this is just a good job.
Milwaukee Fire and Police Commission would like to change the recruitment process so that prospective officers can apply anytime instead of waiting for a designated recruitment period. A 60-minute class at the Y this weekend that could save your life.
Number one cause of death in children 1 to 4 is drowning.
Proper adult supervision and just some basic life-saving skills, we can prevent a large number of these drownings.
That's Sam Seidel, Greater Waukesha County YMCA. Seidel says you can learn a lot in an hour, including how to respond when someone else is struggling in the water.
They can reach objects or find something to throw to their friend.
The classes Saturday at multiple suburban Ys are free and open to everyone. gycymca.org to sign up. Vince Vitrano, WTMJ News.
Sports, traffic, and weather next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:02.
This report is brought to you by Rejuvenix, your non-surgical joint therapy experts.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Your pain is likely due to a wear and tear process called osteoarthritis. Now, when you combine that with being a little overweight or not being as active as you'd like to be, you get into a downward pain spiral. At Rejuvenix, we control pain by precisely targeting and treating the areas where your pain lives, like shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, with our powerful FDA-approved treatments that cushion and lubricate the affected areas to deliver long-lasting pain relief. Now, like maintenance on a car, to maintain your relief, our team of physicians will follow up with you roughly every 6 to 18 months. My name is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenix Arthritis Pain Clinics. Rejuvenix is in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenix. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenix.com to request your appointment.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
After dropping 2-3 against the Cardinals in St. Louis, the Brewers' road trip continues on Friday night with Game 1 of a 3-game series against the Rays. Brewers still in first place in the NL Central, 1 game up on the Pirates. The Rays own the best record in baseball at 32-12. NBA tonight, it's the Lakers and Nuggets. Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals from Denver, where the Nuggets own a 1-0 series lead. And Keegan Bradley has the early lead during round 1 of the PGA Championship from Oak Hill Country Club in New York. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic now. 4145 southbound is awfully slow. Some road work being done right around Good Hope. So because of that, you're seeing some very slow speeds heading south on 4145. So you're looking at maybe a 15-minute delay. Could be even a little bit more than that at times. But once you're past it, once you're past Good Hope, you should be good the rest of the way heading south. 94 westbound, downtown through the zoo to Highway 16. So far, so good there. But a 17-minute trip. 43 northbound from the city up to Brown Deer Road, looking good at 12. And 94 to the south from the Marquette to Layton on time. That is a 7-minute commute.
Traffic is sponsored by SB Framing Gallery, Milwaukee's distinctive archival framing.
SB Framing Gallery in the 3rd Ward can enhance and protect your artwork for generations. Framing pieces with archival and distinctive design. Learn more at sbframinggallery.com.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast. Increasing clouds today, a high of 74. Tonight, some rain and some thunder showers and a low of 54 degrees. So for Friday, some early morning thunder showers still possible tomorrow morning and a high of 65. There's still a slight chance for rain Friday afternoon as well. Saturday, sunny, a high of 67. Sunday, sunny, a high of 73, although that temp is expected to drop in the afternoon, similar to that pneumonia front we had a couple of days ago. And then for Monday, partly sunny, a high of 65. Right now in Madison, 66. Green Bay's at 70. Waukesha 64 and Milwaukee 61. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 12:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. What's the old adage that oftentimes we fail to see the forest for the trees? That happens so much when you're talking about issues. A couple days ago, we were discussing this story that has riveted the country, the former Marine Daniel Penny, who is sitting on the subway car in New York, and there is the historically dangerously mentally ill guy named Jordan Neely who's screaming and yelling and shouting and behaving in a menacing fashion. And then Daniel Penny grabs Neely and puts him in a chokehold, restraining him, and keeps the chokehold on too long. And, Neely passes away. And then there's this huge thing. There's people with their own agendas who, are wanting to see this as a racial thing and demanding that there be prosecution. And the DA, who doesn't charge anything in New York, decides to cave in on this one and charges Penny with manslaughter. And we're having that whole conversation. And again, people are saying, is this an example of subway vigilantism? Is this an example of, that you had somebody who was, menacing, and was this a legitimate thing? And we're having that conversation, but we miss the real point. And the point of this story that's getting nowhere near the attention it needs is that this is endemic of a problem because Jordan Neely shouldn't have been in that subway car in the first place. I mean, this was a guy who was well known to authorities as being dangerously mentally ill. He had acted out before. He had punched a woman in the face, broken several bones in her face. He had been sentenced to prison or jail. He had been released. There were all sorts of conditions, namely that he had to have been in a treatment center and he had to be taking medications. He walks away from that. They don't actively pursue him. They find him on a subway car, urinating all over the car. They, instead of arresting him, bringing him back to court, forcing him to continue to get the treatment that he needs. They just turn him loose, and then he ends up in this subway car where he has the confrontation with, with the former Marine. So I understand that everybody wants to focus on this, couple-minute interaction on the subway car. But the larger point of this is, Neely shouldn't have been there in the first place. And it's a complete failure of the system. But we don't want to point fingers at that. We don't want to ask the tougher questions, which is, why was this guy on the street in the first place? Because it's easier just to focus on this couple-minute interaction when the larger question is, why was he there, and what can we do to make sure that the next dangerously mentally ill person isn't put in a similar sort of situation, and the other people in the subway car aren't put in a similar situation. But we don't want to address that issue because it's tough. But there's another story, and this is where I want to start the program, that raises the same sort of point. We've been talking for the last couple months about these various leaks that were engaged in by the Massachusetts Air National Guard airman Jack Teixeira, who we now know was responsible for months and months of classified leaks of information that created huge problems. And this isn't like the Pentagon Papers where Daniel Ellsberg leaks information, historical reports about how the U.S. got into Vietnam. What this guy was doing was leaking real-time information. This is information that was being passed to Ukraine as it was trying to defend itself from Russia. This was information that had the potential to compromise ongoing intelligence assets. This was information that had the potential to blow all sorts of U.S. operations, right? And so we focus on this 21, 22-year-old airman, and the question is, how was he able to get access to this information? Why did he do this, and what's going to happen to him? And my guess is, he's now being held without bail, and he's going to go to prison for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and he deserves to do that, because I think what he did comes very, very close to treason. But there's another aspect of this story, just like the New York subway story, where I think sometimes we're forgetting to see the forest for the trees. Here's the way the Wall Street Journal reports it. Accused leaker received repeated warnings over handling of classified information. Nearly 7 months before federal authorities charged an airman with unauthorized retention and transmission of national defense information, members of his unit saw him take notes from classified information, access classified information not related to his job, and repeatedly told him to stop. But apparently nobody followed up on that. In 3 memos dated September 15th, October 27th, and February 3rd, Massachusetts Air National Guard's commanders expressed concerns about the airman's handling of classified information and told him to cease and desist on deep dives that were not related to his job. Prosecutors submitted this information about this. According to a September 2022 memo from a member of his unit, Teixeira had been observed taking notes on classified intelligence information in an area reserved for sensitive information. An unnamed master sergeant asked him if he planned to shred his notes and was also told him to stop taking notes. It's unclear whether there was any follow-up. 1 month later, a master sergeant learned that he was potentially ignoring a cease and desist on deep dives after he asked specific questions during an intelligence briefing. According to the February 3rd memo, a master sergeant saw him viewing classified material on January 30th that was not related to his primary duty and was related to the intelligence field. The sergeant informed her supervisor about the incident. The signatory on all 3 memos was redacted, but they all appear on letterhead for his unit. The story goes on, but it is very, very clear that there were people who knew what this guy was doing, not necessarily putting it up on the internet, but they knew that you had this 21-year-old airman who should have had all sorts of red flags from the beginning, but you knew that you had a guy who was repeatedly accessing information that he had no need for and in all likelihood was not entitled to have access to it. And nobody did anything. There was no follow-up. We didn't warn it. We warned him, and then there was no follow-up when you catch him doing this again. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the old National Bank talk and text line. See, to me, This is the scandal, I guess, and it's the bigger picture. It's not that he did it. Yes, he did it. He's going to be held accountable. He's done incredible damage to the United States, and he's going to go to prison. That's all well and good. But my question is, how could this have been allowed to happen? And do not heads need to roll? I mean, you find a guy repeatedly accessing information, classified information that he has no need to know. You tell him not to do it. A month later, he's doing the same sort of thing. I mean, commanders, I think this is, again, it demonstrates a complete and total failure of the chain of command, of supervisors, etc. And just like he needs to go to prison, I think this is a situation where you have a lot of people in the chain of command who were aware of this guy but didn't stop him from doing that, who need to be held accountable as well. It's a complete and total breakdown of supervisory authority. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. I ask this almost rhetorically, but how could this have been allowed, to go on? And do the supervisors who were at least on notice that he was doing this stuff repeatedly, do they bear some responsibility, and should they be held accountable as well? And for those of you who have military experience, I would be particularly interested in your input. 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Stay in touch. You can reach us on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner for the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network. A serious diagnosis of cancer, heart disease, or a neurological condition may lead you to being offered a clinical trial. Dr. Ben George, a Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin medical oncologist and director of the Cancer Clinical Trials Office, sheds light on clinical trials, how they fit into treatment, and why they're important. Listen to that conversation and all our previous everyday health discussions by visiting the features drop-down menu at WTMJ.com.
To be the best, you have to beat the best. And in order to beat the best, you have to compete with the best. And I'll tell you what, playing with the best equipment doesn't hurt either, especially when it comes to baseball and softball. We truly believe that. And that's why Burkhardt Sporting Goods stocks the Midwest's largest selection of the finest baseball and softball equipment. More bats, more gloves, and more equipment from all the best names. This is Brian Burkhardt, and when you love baseball and softball like we do,
You can't beat Burkhardt.
If you plan on draining buzzer beaters, the place to start is Burkhardt, where you'll find a great selection of shoes and court gear. But what's going to turn you into the next big thing on the court is practice. And there's no better place to do it than on your own court. Having your own hoop is an absolute must to hone your shot. And we'll help you get there with a great selection of basketball hoops and accessories. This is Brian Burkhardt, and I promise you, when you love basketball like we do,
You can't beat Burkhardt.
Hi, this is Julie Coombs and Cindy Storm Fisher with Storm Fisher Investment Group. Are you a retiring professional worried about the direction of our economy, about making your money last? Come see what we can do for you. Let us show you how we take care of you to help you have a great retirement. We are at 262-796-8400 or stormfisher.com. See you soon.
Securities offered through Securities America Inc. member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Arbor Point Advisors LLC. Storm Fisher, Arbor Point, and Securities America are separate entities.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Eight 855-616-1620. See, here is the outrage. It's not that this Massachusetts Air National Guard guy was posting, beginning in December, was posting all this classified information. Yeah, that's terrible. That's a crime. He should go to prison. But what's coming out now is superiors of his were aware, not necessarily that he was posting the stuff, but they were aware that he was accessing information that he was not entitled to access. Not only were they aware of that, but they warned him on multiple occasions, and there was no follow-up. They catch him, once, in September, they tell him, no, you're not supposed to be doing this. He does some similar stuff, and actually even worse stuff in October. They tell him again, no, but there's nothing that stops him from having access to the information. He starts posting stuff in December, and in February, he's still doing this, and they catch him again. It is just mind-boggling to me that where you have documented, well, the way they describe it is documented evidence of multiple red flags that somebody doesn't revoke his access or at least seriously investigate whether he needs to have continued ability to access sensitive, classified intelligence information. It would seem to me that this is an area where it should be one strike and you're out. But not only was it not one strike and you're out, it's two strikes and you're still in the ball game, and it's three strikes and you're still doing this, but for the fact that the criminal investigation came in. If he had not been caught, my guess is he would still be having access to information. 855-616-1620. Jeff, I served 4 years in the military as an IT in information technology and handled classified information. Due to low enlistment, I've seen people mess up multiple times and get demoted or get extra duty, but never relieved. Never relieved. How in the world can that be? The idea that, okay, well, we don't have enough people, so we have somebody who is, again, accessing all this information that he's not supposed to have. We're just going to, well, we don't have enough people here, so we're going to let him continue to do it. If that's really what it has come to, it's amazing to me. Jeff, it's called accountability at all levels. The Master Sergeant Commander's supervisor should also be held accountable to the highest degree of the law. One of our biggest failures in America is that we no longer hold people accountable. But this failure is possibly about treason. That's, I guess, that's what the staggering thing is. When this first broke, remember, we were all asking ourselves again that question, how could this happen? How could this guy be allowed to get access to the information? And the answer was, well, if this is the nature of the business and you need people who are going to work on computer support systems and they've got to have access to classified information, et cetera, but I'd have people that would call up and they'd say, well, we were in these situations and you weren't just able to access this, and you weren't able to take pictures of this, and you weren't able to leave the rooms with this. And my question was, how could people not know that this was going on? And I guess the answer to this is they did know it was going on. Maybe not to the full extent, but they knew this was going on. They knew somebody that wasn't entitled to this information was continuing to access information that he had no need to know. He had been warned. He continued to ignore it, and nobody did anything about it, which is, again, that's the forest. The trees are the individual guy that's doing this, and yeah, he needs to be held accountable. But everybody in the military needs to be taking a hard look at this. And yes, the people who missed all these signs need to be held accountable. But this is a systematic failure by putting up with stuff that, candidly, you should not end up putting up with. 855-616-1620. Let's talk to John in Racine. John, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Make sure this didn't happen.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. John?
Is this Jeff Wagner?
It is. You're on the air. Hi.
John Lewis.
What do you think?
How are you doing, sir?
Good. What do you think, sir?
I think the supervisors should be charged. I told the call taker that I was in the Marine Corps from 1984 to 1994, and I also had a top secret clearance, and I was 24 years old at the time.
If you were caught accessing information that you had no need to access, and you were caught on multiple occasions doing that, what would have happened to you?
I believe that I would be not talking to you right now. I'd be in prison somewhere.
Yeah, right. And I can see maybe a warning the first time. Hey, we walked in, we caught this guy. Hey, boss, we caught this guy. He was in some files that he shouldn't be in. We've warned him. We've told him not to do it. And if 3 weeks later you go in and he's doing the same thing or worse, at that point in time, I would imagine that's when most people would say you revoke the guy's security clearance and either you court-martial him or you find some other job for him to do because something's going on that shouldn't be going on.
Well, I don't know if these young people are different these days. It seems to me that they are, but I was 24 when I joined. Like I said, I had top secret clearance, and I was old for being in the Marine Corps at that time, and the people that I served with, they were all teenagers, 18, 19, 20.
Mm-hmm.
maybe 21, and I had a nickname. They called me Pops because I was 24.
You were the old guy.
And I was the old man because I said one time, how's it going, kids? And one guy called me Pops.
Yeah.
And my nickname stuck.
John, well, thanks for the call. Well, look, to me, it's not a function of age, because my guess is there's a lot of 21 or 22-year-old information technology people who are out there, working on the computer systems and stuff, who aren't accessing documents that they have no right to access, and then engaging in behavior that I think borders on treason. But again, the larger point of this and the dazzling detail that's emerging is it's not how did he get away with this, it's how was he allowed to get away with this for this long? Because there were people that there were red flags that were up all over. There were people that caught him doing this, not necessarily the posting the stuff on the internet, but they caught him accessing things that he had no entitlement to do repeatedly, and yet he was still allowed to do it. That's the, I think, perhaps even larger outrage of this entire thing. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Get fired up for your next adventure to the Island Resort and Casino. Recharge at the Drift Spa and enjoy a delicious dinner afterward. Get in on the action of your favorite slots and table games, followed by live music or a comedy show. And golfers know you can always bet on green, Sweetgrass, and Sage Run. 36 holes of award-winning golf, some of the finest in the Midwest. So many ways to have fun. Experience more at the Island Resort and Casino.
While going over a new client's statements from one of the big financial firms, I was floored when I read that firm does not offer tax or estate planning advice, because we know that saving money for our clients on their taxes, legally and well within the law, can make a huge difference in their financial plan. If you want to wisely build your wealth, it is my firm opinion that without a comprehensive approach, you're going to be at a big disadvantage. At Financial Strategies, Inc., we're taking a deep dive and creating comprehensive strategies that develop your retirement, investment, and your tax and estate planning. And all under a fee-only structure that means the success we care about most is yours. I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to FinancialStrategiesInc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With cold weather fading, it's time to spruce up your home with new lights and ceiling fans. Our huge showroom displays all the finest brands, such as Visual Comfort, Hubbardton, Hudson Valley, Fanimation, and hundreds more. Whether it's the newest LEDs or more conventional styles, we get every brand, and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. Trade in your old shades and get an extra 20% off. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids. BBC is located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue near the Potawatomi Casino. Shop Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and Saturday from 10 to 4. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Annex Wealth Management's webinar, The Inflation and Rate Hikes and Bears Oh My, is now available in full on WTMJ.com. Wisconsin's afternoon host John McCure, along with Annex Wealth Management's Dave Spano, discuss this current economic climate and how to plan for your best financial future. Visit the Features tab on WTMJ.com or text the word Annex. That's ANNEX to the Old National Bank talk and text line 855-616-1620. It's Annex Wealth Management's newest webinar, The Inflation and Rate Hikes and Bears Oh My. WTMJ breaking news time. It's almost 12:30. Let's go to the WTMJ Breaking News Center. Here's Wyatt Barmore Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. Senate Republicans and Assembly Republicans at odds over a key ingredient in the shared revenue bill. The measure passed by the Assembly on Wednesday would require a referendum on sales tax for Milwaukee City and County. The Assembly says that referendum has to remain in place, but Senate Leader Devin LeMahieu tells the AP the Senate would likely remove that provision in their version of the bill. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos says he's done negotiating on the bill, so we'll see what happens. Right now at an impasse. A new round of police officer recruitment begins Friday. Milwaukee Fire and Police Commission, they want to change the recruitment process so that prospective officers can apply any time instead of waiting for a designated period of time. The commission hopes this will increase the applicant pool and continue building a police department that reflects the city's diversity. And the Deer District has a new landmark opening today. It's the Trade Hotel right across the street from Fiserv Forum. There's going to be it'll open its doors to the public today, offering more than 200 rooms and suites plus destination dining. They got a rooftop restaurant and lounge. It's also got accommodations for taller people, like NBA stars. Some rooms will have bigger beds, taller ceilings, and higher countertops to accommodate visiting teams. Time for news about your money. It is the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. And taking a look, it looks like the Dow is down about 0.5%. It's down 159 points, actually 154 just updated. The S&P is down about 10 points. That's 0.25% up. I should say the S&P is up 10 points. That's 0.25% up. And the NASDAQ is up 111, almost 1% up. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com. You can click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We've got a disabled vehicle on 94 westbound, a mile beyond the ramp from Moreland Road. That's off on the right shoulder. There's a fire truck on the scene as well as an ambulance. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. If you can, move lanes to avoid them. Even though they're off on the shoulder, it seems to be jutting a little bit into that right lane. Not fully blocking it, but definitely something to keep an eye out for. They've got cones down. Everything else is looking good. No major slow. Actually, that's not true. They're still seeing those slowdowns on 41. That's about a 10-minute slowdown from Highway Q to the Zoo. Aside from that, though, everything else is looking good.
Traffic is sponsored by Smart Spaces. Adapt to the modern workplace. SmartSpacesWI.com.
How can Smart Spaces transform your business?
Creating technology, great culture, spaces that people really want to come to, attract talent, and keep that talent.
SmartSpacesWI.com.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Increasing clouds today, a high of 65 at the lake, 74 degrees inland tonight. Rain and thunder showers, a low of 54. Thunder showers early on Friday morning, a slight chance of rain in the afternoon. It'll be breezy with a high of 65. Saturday, mostly sunny, a high of 67. Sunday, mostly sunny, a little hotter, a high of 63. We do have a chance for an afternoon cool down on Sunday. And Monday, partly cloudy skies, a high of 65. In Plymouth, it's 61. In Wauwatosa, it's 63. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, it's 61 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1232.
I'm Jeff Wagner. Coming up next, we can't trust those stupid voters to do the right thing. Or not. Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Let's take a minute of R&R. R&R Insurance, that is. R&R Insurance does a great job of providing employee benefits to all of us here at Good Karma Brands. Business insurance seems to be getting more complex these days, though. To share some knowledge about this topic and its impact on business, here is Jeff Salasinski, VP of Insurance Operations at R&R Insurance.
Yeah, Vince, let me tell you what headwinds commercial insurance buyers are facing today. Catastrophic storms in the Midwest and South are destroying the earnings of insurance companies and driving premiums higher. Inflation, higher costs of capital, and economic uncertainty. If your agent's not discussing these important risk management topics and options with you, you're putting your business in jeopardy.
So, Jeff, what's the solution?
As the knowledge brokers, we bring deep industry knowledge and 48 years of local ownership and stability to today's market. As a business insurance top 100 agency, R&R Insurance is focused on you, the client, and protecting everything you've worked so hard for. At R&R Insurance, we know business insurance.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
It's time for amazing Memorial Day savings at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Right now, shop unbeatable deals on everything you need for summer. Like 12-pound combo packs of Kingsford charcoal, just $16.99. Get a free $10 Blaine's gift card when you buy select sizes of Hill's Science Diet dog food. And save 15% on select Pet Safe fence kits. Don't miss amazing Memorial Day savings on summer essentials in-store or online at farmandfleet.com.
Find value at Farm and Fleet.
Give future generations a connection to their past by securing cemetery property today. Now is always the best time to buy cemetery property because purchasing today is your best protection against rising prices and limited inventory. Whether you choose burial or cremation, we have options for every belief at any budget. Speak with us today about available financing and pricing options. We're Forest Hill Memorial Park. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
3301 East Forest Hill Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
I do not understand why some people are not willing to live with, I don't know, the consequences of their advice. Now, for years and years, we have had people, particularly people in southeastern Wisconsin, but in other communities as well, complaining about the lack of shared revenue. The way it works is we all pay a 5% state sales tax. That money gets shipped off to Madison, and then some of that money is returned to communities across the state for various purposes. The amount that has been returned to communities has not kept up with inflation. All right. So for the longest time, some, not all communities have been complaining about the lack of shared revenue. In Milwaukee, the problem is particularly acute for a couple reasons. First of all, Milwaukee County and the city of Milwaukee spend money like drunken sailors. No, that's not fair to drunken sailors. So there's been a lot of irresponsible spending, and so there's been a reluctance on the part of the legislature, which is controlled by Republicans, to send more money back to people who they believe are spending it irresponsibly in the first place. So that's at least that's the theory. The second thing is, a lot of the fiscal problems in Milwaukee, the city of, and the county are caused and have been caused by their out-of-control pension system. Now, people in Milwaukee, the city and the county, state employees are not on, as a general rule, at least most of them aren't in the state pension system. And what's happened over the years is the city and the county, the reason that's happened is the city and the county, their employees haven't wanted to be on the state pension system because the benefits through Milwaukee, the city, or the county have been much more generous. So as a result of what's happening is the pension obligations that are coming due, stuff that was given out, decades ago, now those people are starting to retire, and it's creating this huge pension crisis because they have to keep coming up with more and more money to pay these enhanced benefits that were agreed to years ago. And it's a fiscal cliff. There's no doubt about it. Now, you can argue that the city and the county of Milwaukee, they've made their own beds, but nevertheless, you can't let Milwaukee go bankrupt, either the city or the county. So for years and years, you've had leaders who've been saying, we need to change the shared revenue formula. We need to have the state give us back more money because otherwise we're going to have these problems. So there's been all these negotiations and all these discussions that have gone on. And by the way, one thing that I have been hearing for years from local members of the business community, and you know who you are, and local politicians, they've been saying, okay, we want more shared revenue, and we want the ability to raise our taxes. We want to have, an added 2% sales tax or an added 1% sales tax. And they've been pushing that. And local officials have for years been saying, we want to do this, and we want the ability to have a binding referendum. We want to be able to go to our voters in Milwaukee County or the city, and we want to say, look, these are our problems. This is what these issues are, and we want to have you vote to increase the sales tax. That has been what's been argued for years. And I have, by the way, as a proponent of local control in some respects, I have supported that. My feeling has been, just like with the school referendum, if voters in a particular school district want to vote to increase their taxes so you can pay for this or that or the other thing, that's fine. That is a decision they're making. So for years, local officials have been saying, give us the right to have a binding referendum if residents of the city of Milwaukee or people in Milwaukee County want to increase their sales tax 1%, who who is everybody else across the state to tell them that they can't do it? I always found that argument to be persuasive. And a matter of fact, I have been one, like I say, for years, who've been saying, look, I think that Milwaukee, if voters decide they want to raise their sales tax, they should be able to do it. All right, so this legislation, which has moved its way, now been passed by the Assembly, does exactly what Milwaukee leaders have been asking for years. It gives them the ability to have a binding referendum, which, if passed, would raise the sales tax in the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County. It gives them what they have wanted for years. But now there's a catch. Now that legislation has been passed by the Assembly, you have most of the same people who have been arguing for years that they want to have the ability to go to the people and let them decide whether they want to raise their sales tax. Now they're saying, well, wait a second. What happens if the voters say no? What happens if those stupid voters in Milwaukee County or those stupid voters in the city of Milwaukee don't understand what we elites know, and that is that we have to raise the sales tax? What if they vote no? Well, then we're really going to be in hot water. Now, this is after years of saying, let the people decide. Okay, so now many of the usual suspects are saying, well, wait, they might vote no. So we don't want to allow those stupid voters, we don't want to give them a chance to vote on this because they might not do what we think is the right thing. So we want the ability to just raise the taxes. Let's forget this referendum. Let's take that out of the legislation. Let's just let us bypass the voters and do it by a vote of the Common Council or a vote of the county board or whatever. We don't need any input on this. That's where Governor Tony Evers is. And amazingly, that appears to be where the Republican leader of the Senate, Senator LeMahieu, is. He's saying, well, we're going to pass a shared revenue bill, and apparently what he's threatening to do is to take the referendum provision out. In other words, completely capitulating to Governor Evers and capitulating to, again, some of these officials in Milwaukee who, after years of requesting the ability to have people vote, are chickening out on this because the voters might be too stupid to do what they consider to be the right thing. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Now, there's many aspects of this whole shared revenue thing, but one of the cornerstones and one of the sticking points is the fact that any sales tax increase, and they're looking at a pretty substantial sales tax increase, would be conditioned on the voters approving it. And now members of the business community and local officials are getting cold feet, afraid that voters might not agree with the elite on the need to have the sales tax increase. And they're afraid that they're going to lose the vote. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. One of the conditions of getting this through the Assembly was, we're going to do what you've said you've wanted for years. We're going to have, you can do it, but you have to have a referendum. Now they're saying, we don't want to vote on this. People might not agree to do it. All right. How important is this issue? And what do you think about both the governor and apparently the Republican leader of the Senate, who don't think it is important to allow people to vote directly on whether they want to increase their sales tax? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. I always thought Vince Lombardi came up with that famous sports nugget, but it turns out he borrowed it from a college coach. And now I'm going to borrow it too, because when there are 10 or 20 offers on a property, there's only one winner. In today's inventory-starved real estate market, you need a Lombardi-level mortgage coach, one who has all the best plays in the playbook. Going with your bank for your pre-approval is like playing in a professional playoff game with the JV coach at the helm. The Lombardi-level coaches at AccuNet are called senior loan consultants, and each one has been trained by me to help you and your real estate agent work as one team to deliver the one and only thing that matters, winning. So if you've been losing with your flimsy bank pre-approval, trade up today to a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and a Lombardi-level game plan. And if you're just getting started, why not start with the best? Click on the blue button today and get started with your winning game plan at ACCUNET.com.
The new Burkhardt Sporting Goods is now open in New Berlin, and it is the baseball lover's destination. With a massive state-of-the-art indoor training facility featuring hit tracks with precision analytics, a huge open turf area, and all the best training equipment you need. And we carry the Midwest's largest bat selection from all the major brands that you can try before you buy. I'm Brian Burkhardt, and if you love baseball and softball like we do, you gotta see the new Burkhardt Sporting Goods on 155th and National in New Berlin.
You can't beat Burkhardt.
If you plan on draining buzzer beaters, the place to start is Burkhardt, where you'll find a great selection of shoes and court gear. But what's going to turn you into the next big thing on the court is practice. And there's no better place to do it than on your own court. Having your own hoop is an absolute must to hone your shot. And we'll help you get there with a great selection of basketball hoops and accessories. This is Brian Burkhardt, and I promise you, when you love basketball like we do,
you can't beat Burkhardt.
At Semper Fi, the path to self-improvement never ends. So it feels good to be good. It's been 20 years, and we'll make sure you feel like you made a great decision to have us work on your next exterior remodeling project.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
I'm Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where we make your move simple and affordable. Simple, because all you'll need to do is let us market your home with full MLS marketing and show you all the homes available that fit your needs and your price range. Affordable, because in real estate, that's the name of the game. And 3.5 to 3.9% real estate commission with no upfront fees is truly as affordable as it gets. So let's get your home on the market and begin your search. Benefit-realty.com. As a discount real estate broker, I'm often asked why we charge less. And there are a few reasons. We charge less because we can. Low overhead allows for it. Our low commission structure also gives us an edge over the firms that will give you everything we will, but charge you substantially more. And lastly, we charge you less so that I can sleep at night. I figure a fair rate for an honest day's work always helps with that. This is Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where we'll make your move simple and affordable. Benefit-realty.com.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. I mean, I have been listening for years to local officials in Milwaukee complaining about the disparities in shared revenue and saying, give us the ability to have a referendum. If voters want to increase the sales tax to cope with all these different problems, why would you say no? And I have agreed with that. It's the ultimate local control. But now that's what's going through the assembly, both the governor and apparently Republicans in the state Senate, for reasons that I think maybe we can get into, they're now chickening out. They're saying, well, what if those stupid voters say no, that they don't want to raise their sales tax? What do we do then? Well, okay, maybe then you figure out what Plan B is. But after years of asking for a referendum, now that they're chickening out because they don't think they can justify it to the voters, sorry, not sympathetic. Let's talk to Dennis in Milwaukee. Dennis, you're on WTMJ.
Good afternoon, Jeff. How are you doing?
Good. What do you think?
Well, before I give you my comments on the sales tax, the state shared revenue, it hasn't kept up with inflation. It's even worse. My understanding from our alderman is that it has been flat since 2005. And I defy anybody to live on the same salary that they made in 2005 today. So I'm going to vote yes on the referendum, and I hope it is a referendum. Mm-hmm. As you correctly state, for years, Tom Barrett was saying, let the people speak. We want their approval. I think the voters are a whole lot smarter than what a lot of these other people think. If you make the case, I think people are going to go along with this. And as evidence, I cite the school referendums around the state. Those have passed, I think, 75 to 80%.
Yep, absolutely.
And even in the city of Milwaukee, when MPS came to the voters, 5 years ago, that passed as well. I've attended a number of neighborhood meetings where my alderman has explained the facts and made the case, so I'm going to vote yes. I think the key is for these other aldermen to get off their collective rear ends go out in their districts and sell this.
Yeah, exactly. And let the business community sell. I guess what's really struck me about this, Dennis, is that, again, for years, like you say, whether it was Tom Barrett or whoever was in the county executive's office, it was almost like a given. Hey, if we have these referendums allowing people to increase the sales tax, of course it's going to pass. Why would you evil Republicans not allow us to raise more money via this? And because people are going to pass it overwhelmingly. And now they've all chickened out. And I'm listening to, people might not understand, the pension stuff and things like that. Well, no, it's your obligation then to again, like you say, sell it, to pitch it, to explain, why this is necessary. And again, I keep coming back to the whole parallel of the school referendum. You want to blow, you want to exceed the spending limitations for the schools? Fine. Go to the voters and make the case. I just don't know what has suddenly happened in the last couple months that, at least up until then, everybody was arguing a referendum will pass overwhelmingly, and now everybody is starting to chicken out over that, and maybe it's because they weren't as confident with the arguments they were making. Candidly, if you were to ask me, do I think it's going to pass if you had a referendum, I think it would probably pass, and it would pass overwhelmingly. I don't live in Milwaukee County. I don't live in the city of Milwaukee, so I'm not going to be a voter, but my guess is it would probably pass overwhelmingly. When they've had advisory referendums, it's passed. But don't you have to, at some point in time, live with the consequences of these things? And by the way, I don't think there's anything wrong with trusting the voters. Now, sometimes the voters end up getting it wrong, but I don't think there's anything wrong with trusting the voters and saying, okay, well, maybe the voters let's think that maybe they are smart enough to be able to figure out whether or not they want to pay an extra 2% sales tax. Now, one of our texters is making a good point, saying, well, Jeff, remember all the hostility that happened when they passed that, 0.5% sales tax to pay for Milwaukee County, to pay for Miller Park, now American Family Field. Remember all the aggravation about that? Yeah, I do. I do remember that, and that's what happened. You had politicians that lost their jobs. You still have people who feel really bad about that, something that was done, late at night, because politicians didn't trust people to go ahead and be willing to support this. My only point on this whole thing is, I've been told for years, give us the chance to have a referendum. Now they're giving them a chance to have a referendum. The governor obviously doesn't trust the people of Milwaukee County to do the right thing. And surprisingly, at least some Republican members of the Senate don't trust the voters to do the right thing. And they're willing to just, again, allow elected officials to stick it to the voters without the voters having any direct impact. Now, I understand that people who vote for this come up for election and can be voted out at some point in time in the future. But a cornerstone of this entire sales tax increase has been a public binding referendum. Until now, when they give them what they want, a public binding referendum, people seem to be afraid of allowing the stupid voters, at least that's what some people might think, those stupid voters to decide whether they want the binding referendum or not. Back with more in just a couple minutes. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Had a rough week? Not to worry. Relax and join Jeff Wagner every Friday at 2:35 for Pop Culture Corner. Brought to you by Palermo's Pizza. Come tell us the best of the best in pop culture, and you could win a prize package from Palermo's.
What is the best movie sequel of all time? Your guilty pleasure on television? I've got a whole long list. Curious to hear from you.
It's Wagner's Pop Culture Corner. Fridays at 2:35 on WTMJ.
The Fireside Theater in Fort Atkinson presents the world's greatest live tribute show, Legends in Concert, direct from London, featuring tributes to Elton John, Freddie Mercury, Adele, Rod Stewart, and Dusty Springfield. These incredible artists, backed by a live band, deliver one of the most spectacular concerts you'll ever see. Every ticket at the Fireside includes a superb dinner prepared by award-winning chefs and a chance to visit their spectacular gift shops. Order your tickets now. Call 800-477-9505 or visit firesidetheater.com. See Legends in concert, direct from London, live on stage, June 1st through July 16th, exclusively at the Fireside Theater.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. There are over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Wisconsin's own Gruber's offices. One call, that's all.
A wiser way to build your wealth.
A wiser way to build your wealth starts with choosing a financial planning firm that is fee only, because it means they work for you. Fee-only firms like Financial Strategies, Inc. don't work for a bank or brokerage firm or an insurance company or mutual fund company, because we don't want our decisions for your best interest compromised in any way. We work for you, and only in your best interest. And fee-only means the success we care about most is yours. Ask your advisor, are you 100% fee-only for 100% of your clients 100% of the time? If they answer no, get a second opinion. I'm Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., a fee-only, comprehensive financial planning firm. And I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Lyndon Johnson perhaps was not the first one to say it, but he's the one that popularized the saying, "Don't pee down my back and tell me it's raining." Well, that would be the message that I would send to the Sun Prairie School District. The Sun Prairie School District found itself in hot water for an incident that happened in March, where you had 4 freshman girls. You might remember the story. 4 freshman girls, after like first period gym class that involved swimming, they're in the girls' locker room and they're in the process of changing, when all of a sudden an 18-year-old student who is physically a boy, all right, walks in and strips, apparently, at least the allegations are, strips naked in front of these 4 freshman girls and says, don't worry, I'm transgender. Okay. And this gets a ton of attention, and the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, which is a conservative, legal operation, they get involved. The thing becomes public. The Sun Prairie School District says, well, this isn't, they don't have all the facts right, but they don't say what was wrong about this. So anyhow, what happens now is the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty files an open records request. They want to find out what happened and what the policies are and whether or not the Sun Prairie School District might be violating, various laws. So they request 6 weeks worth of communications, not 6 months, not 6 years, not 60 years. They make an open records request saying we want open records. We want access to 6 weeks worth of communications to and from staff and board members and various other records about what happened. And we also want district policies that were in effect at the time. Now, again, a lot of times when you get these open records requests, people are asking for years and years of records. This is very specific. It is 6 weeks. The response from Sun Prairie is, well, before we will do this, you have to pay us over $11,000. They say in response to accumulating 6 weeks worth of communications, they estimate that this will involve 81 hours and more than 100 staff, with those doing the searching paid at hourly rates between $46 and $131. 81 hours to hit a computer button and, again, go and look at people's emails and, pull up the various emails that a handful of people might have had regarding this. They want $11,000. They're claiming 81 hours and 100 staff. This is what happens when, in my opinion at least, you have school districts that have something to hide and do not want to let the public know what is going on. Now, again, sometimes these open record requests, I think, get excessive, but it's 6 weeks. It is specific to one narrow issue. And to say before we'll show you what we did, you got to pay $11,000 or $12,000 is absolutely outrageous and will undoubtedly involve a lawsuit probably on its own. No question here, the Sunbury School District, at least given their reaction to this, appears to have something to hide, and they're trying to hide behind excessive fees to stop communications from coming out, and all I can infer from that is there must be stuff that they do not want the public to know. All right, lots coming up in the 1 o'clock hour of the program. We kick that off right after the top of the hour news.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
All Brewers games are on sale now, including a Memorial Day weekend showdown with the Giants, Thursday, May 25th through Sunday, the 28th. Start the long weekend right at Aloha Friday on the 26th and get a Brewers Hawaiian shirt with a special ticket package. Then take home a Christian Yelich patriotic jersey giveaway on Saturday, the 27th, presented by Chevrolet. Get your seats at Brewers.com.
Wealth-changing question. Is your investment portfolio really customized? Some advisors say they customize them, but all they really do is ask you a few questions, then put all your money in a model portfolio. Here at Creative Planning, each of our private wealth management clients' portfolios is unique. Your investment mix will be based on your custom financial plan. If that's not how your money's managed, you're not getting the customization you deserve. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
What's better than the look and feel of real leather? The amazing prices at Steinhafels.
Your locally owned hometown station gives you the news and what it means to you. Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 1 o'clock, 60 degrees, increasing clouds today, high 65 by the lake, 74 inland. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Sandy Max. Senate Republicans and Assembly Republicans are at odds over a key ingredient in the shared revenue bill.
The measure passed by the Assembly Wednesday would require a referendum on a sales tax for Milwaukee City and County. The Assembly says the referendum must remain in place, but Senate Leader Devin Lemieux tells the AP the Senate would likely remove that provision. So what happens now?
I've been in the same spots, both in the Assembly and then in the Senate.
Waukesha County Executive Paul Farrow.
Where we've had a bill, we negotiated it, one house passed it, the other house made changes, it brought back, we discussed it, and we passed it together.
Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
A Milwaukee ordinance regulating food trucks now heads to the full Common Council.
The measure approved by the Public Safety and Health Committee this morning, it would create a zone where food trucks are limited to 6 hours in one spot and set a 1 a.m. curfew for them. Alderwoman and co-sponsor Jocasta Zamaripa.
What we have done here with this legislation is create another opportunity instead of implementing bans, which was the practice for years.
The ordinance would also create a second zone that limits the amount of trucks that can gather near places like Burnham Park, something Zamaripa says is important.
So as not to compromise the public safety of our constituents, of the children and families that frequent the park.
Wyatt Barmarpooley, WTMJ News.
A 60-minute class at the YMCA this weekend could save your life.
Number one cause of death in children 1 to 4 is drowning.
Proper adult supervision and just some basic life-saving skills, we can prevent a large number of these drownings.
That's Sam Seidel, Greater Waukesha County YMCA. Seidel says you can learn a lot in an hour, including how to respond when someone else is struggling in the water.
They can reach objects or find something to throw to their friend.
The classes Saturday at multiple suburban Ys are free and open to everyone. gycymca.org to sign up. Vince Vitrano, WTMJ News.
You won't need to cross the Atlantic for a taste of the British Isles. A restaurant inspired by the United Kingdom and Ireland is expected to open at Bayshore this summer, featuring classic dishes like fish and chips and shepherd's pie. It's called Buchanan's and will feature Scottish, Irish, and British dishes, along with an extensive collection of whiskey, craft beers, and bourbon. The restaurant will open on the second level of the rotunda across from ACX Cinemas, which is also set to open later this year. News is sponsored by Annex Wealth Management's Money Talk, heard Saturdays at 10 right here on WTMJ. Sports, traffic, and weather next. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 103.
It's WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Sister Bay Furniture. Wisconsin weather can be tough on all of us. A snowy gray morning can quickly evolve into a bright, warm afternoon, inviting you to fire up the grill and enjoy some quality outdoor time. Sister Bay Furniture is premium, high-quality outdoor furniture, built in Wisconsin, built for Wisconsin. Built from premium and sustainable materials, Sister Bay designs and builds patio furniture to survive years of Wisconsin weather. That's commercial-grade quality for your outdoor space. Customize your Sister Bay set. Pick from several different styles and colors to fit your unique outdoor space. Need professional help? Sister Bay Furniture offers a team of in-house design experts. They can help you plan and create the outdoor space of your dreams. Don't wait until the next beautiful day this year. Get out to their showroom today. It's located in Sussex on Executive Drive, or visit their website, sisterbayfurniture.com, to shop the entire selection. Sister Bay Furniture, built in Wisconsin, for Wisconsin.
While the warm weather has you feeling like new, get old with a money market account from Old National Bank and earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield. Whether you're saving up for something big or just for a rainy day, Old National is here for you. Earn 5.00% APY with our limited time 12-month introductory money market offer. To earn the promotional rate, account must be funded with a minimum of $10,000 not on deposit at Old National as of April 14th, 2023. Learn more at oldnational.com or visit a local banking center today. Offer not available online. Member FDIC. Old National Bank. Get old.
Here's to soaking up surf culture on Wisconsin's fresh coast. Here's to beaches designed for people of all abilities. To sand between your toes and happiness in your heart. Here's to trading skylines for endless Wisconsin shorelines. And to ending each day with smiles all around. Here's to those who Wisconsin. Start your summer getaway at travelwisconsin.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
After dropping 2 of 3 against the Cardinals in St. Louis, the Brewers' road trip continues on Friday night with Game 1 of a 3-game series against the Rays. Brewers still in first place in the NL Central, 1 game up on the Pirates. The Rays own the best record in baseball at 32-12. NBA tonight, it's the Lakers and Nuggets. Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals from Denver, where the Nuggets own a 1-0 series lead. And Keegan Bradley has the early lead during round 1 of the PGA Championship from Oak Hill Country Club in New York. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads with the Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic. No major accidents, no major delays. Looking at the traffic cameras, mostly green in all of our expressway area. You will find just a little bit of a slowdown southbound on 4145 as you approach. I'm zooming in. As you approach Good Hope Road, just a little bit of slowdown there, but otherwise smooth travel times.
Traffic is sponsored by Tehan Greenhouses in Oak Creek. Buy direct and local for all of your garden plants.
Come quick to Tehan Greenhouses in Oak Creek for the best selection on blooming hanging baskets, deck planters, annuals, perennials, and vegetable plants. Tehan Greenhouses in Oak Creek. Buy direct.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast: increasing clouds today, high 65, lakeside 74 inland. Rain and thunder showers tonight, a low 54. Friday weather, early thunder showers, a slight chance of rain in the afternoon. Otherwise breezy, high 65 tomorrow. The weekend weather: Saturday, sunshine, 67 for a high. Sunday, mostly sunny with a chance for a quick afternoon cool down, but a high 73 Sunday. And Monday weather, partly cloudy, high 65. Right now in Waukesha, 65. Madison, 69. Green Bay, 70. And in Milwaukee, it's 61 degrees. I'm Sandy Mack, citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 107.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. By the way, there's so many ways that you can consume our programs. There is, of course, over the regular radio. You can listen to us on the stream, and I know a lot of people do that. You simply go to WTMJ.com, click on the Listen Live button if you want to watch us. And there's a number of people that do that as well. Easy to do that. The studio is lit up like a Christmas tree or an operating room. We've got cameras all over. All you have to do is go to WTMJ.com, and instead of hitting the Listen Live button, you hit the Watch Live button, and there we are in all our glory. You can also go to the YouTube channel and watch us. We have a YouTube channel. Who knew that? Also, there's the podcast. If you're listening to the program now, but you can't hear the whole thing, and you want to hear a segment, no problem. Subscribe to us. You can subscribe through WTMJ.com, also through any place you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, the iTunes, all of those, we are available. And it's always, I see the numbers. It's amazing to me how many people decide to listen in that fashion. So we're all over. So take advantage and listen to the show on a daily basis. I appreciate it. All right, this is a story where everybody is wrong. All right, that's the basic premise I start with. Everybody is wrong. My question is going to be, have we overreacted to it? Now, the story involves a Grafton middle school teacher. He's a 7th grade math teacher at John Long Middle School in Grafton. His name is David Schroeder. I think it's Schroeder. But all right, so he's been a teacher only for a couple years. So he's a younger guy, been a teacher since 2021. He has now been charged in Ozaukee County Circuit Court with a felony of making a terrorist threat. So you go, oh my God, he's making a terrorist threat? This is a middle school teacher? All right, well, of course he needs to be prosecuted and he needs to go to jail for a long time. Well, here's the criminal complaint. All right, May 12th, 11 in the morning, officers are sent to John Long Middle School after a parent reports to police that her son told her that a teacher was making threatening statements to students about both guns and physically harming them. All right, now here's apparently what happened. The principal of the school says that Schroeder, the teacher, had found a notebook in the classroom that had a swastika on it, but was unable to determine who the notebook belonged to. Now, Schroeder is Jewish, all right? When he found the drawing, a 13-year-old student in the classroom said he confronted the entire classroom saying the drawing was not appropriate and that, quote, I wish pain on all of you and your families. He then told students he would, and at this point in time, it sounds like the teacher, completely and totally loses it. He tells students that he would have his daughter come to their homes with a baseball bat. He also told students that he had 17 guns in his basement. Multiple students reported that he was screaming or yelling while making these statements. He later admitted to the principal, I lost it. I became enraged, and I did, threaten the students. After police had responded to the school, an officer saw a parent driving a truck at a high rate of speed in the school parking lot and then walking towards the school in an aggressive manner. The officer stopped the man, learned that he was a parent who was concerned about his child's safety. Another officer reports that the environment inside the school was chaotic and that several students were in the main office expressing concern. Officers continued to take calls from parents saying they were coming to pick up their children. The principal said that the teacher was already under investigation for other concerning or inappropriate behavior towards students, and they had already decided he was going to be fired. So that they hadn't fired, the school year is almost over, but they were not going to renew his contract. All right, so this created a disruption. People were very, very uncomfortable, with what was going on here. But the bottom line is that he didn't actually hit any students. He just lost it and started screaming at them. Apparently, there were other instances where they found some stuff that there were drawings of swastikas. At one point in time, he told the students that all Jews have guns and that he had 17 guns in his basement. I have, believe me when I say this, I have many, many friends who are Jewish, many friends. And I'm trying to just kind of run down the list of my various Jewish friends, and I'm willing to bet that none of them have 17. Matter of fact, I think most of my Jewish friends don't have any guns at all in their house, and they sure as don't have 17 guns in their house. But anyways, so you have this teacher, young guy, he loses it, sees the swastika, loses it, screams at the kids. All right, completely and totally inappropriate. No argument there. Kids are, and these are middle school kids, they're disturbed, obviously, by having a teacher lose it like this and start screaming at him. Okay, we've got it. But we understand what it was that provoked him in the first place, and nobody is justifying that. He's being fired, right? So he's not going to be back teaching kids at that school district. And my guess is, now that it's public what he did to get himself fired in the first place, he's not going to be teaching pretty much anywhere else. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Now, I take these charges extremely seriously. Making terrorist threats is a very, very big deal. And people who make terrorist threats should be put in prison, and they should be put in prison for a long while. What this guy did in front of a room of middle school students that clearly, he loses it. My daughter's going to come over here with a baseball bat. All Jews have 17 guns. I'm a Jewish, and we all have guns, and I've got 17 in my basement. All right, he's been fired. He's not going to be back in a classroom. Is this the type of thing that criminal charges are necessary? And also, now the school is starting to investigate where the swastikas came in the first place, because that, again, is one of the underlying. That would be one of my first questions is, okay, what did they do when you find swastikas that are in this notebook? What did the school do in the first place to try to determine, who it was that was drawing these things in the first place? And they don't know. Now the school is starting to investigate this. I have no problem with the teacher being fired. I think that is completely and totally appropriate. Does this rise to the level of a felony? And do you send him to prison for this? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hi, it's Brian Noonan from WTMJ Nights. I've got some big news. Starting now, you can download WTMJ Nights wherever you get your podcasts. That's right, you can enjoy our nighttime fun anytime you want. Find WTMJ Nights on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Local news, national stories, random silliness. You get a bit of everything on WTMJ Nights. So join me, Brian Noonan, weeknights from 6 to 9 here on WTMJ, the WTMJ mobile app, or wherever you get your podcasts. WTMJ Nights. Listen whenever and wherever you want.
Hey, business owners, are you feeling the pressures of growing your business? It's tough to maintain momentum and still keep employees engaged. Well, Insperity can help. They put over 35 years of HR experience to work, helping you with hiring, with training, with HR administration and compliance, all the while giving your employees competitive benefit options. When your people thrive, your business can adapt, your business can prosper. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Scalable HR, employee benefits, HR technology, Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Hi, this is Julie Coombs and Cindy Stormfisher with Stormfisher Investment Group. Are you a retiring professional worried about the direction of our economy, about making your money last?
Come see what we can do for you. Let us show you how we take care of you to help you have a great retirement.
We are at 262-796-8400 or stormfisher.com. See you soon.
Securities offered through Securities America Inc. member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Arbor Point Advisors LLC. Stormfisher, Arbor Point, and Securities America are separate entities.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guests, Olson's Outdoor Power Equipment and Capital Heating and Cooling. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. At 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
Smooth waters and clear horizons are ahead. The experienced team of advisors at Fox World Travel are ready to uncover your cruising style. Are you sailing off into a Caribbean sunset? Taking in the European charm along riverways? Maybe an exotic expedition or Alaskan cruise are on your bucket list. We'll help you cruise like never before with Princess Cruise Lines, Avalon Waterways, Celebrity Cruises, and more. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call a Fox Cruise expert at 866-GO-FOX-GO.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Now, our texts are coming in, and generally the sense is like this. Jeff, I wouldn't prosecute, but he does sound like a good candidate for an anger management course and a different line of work. Yeah, definitely a different line of work. Another one of our texters says, Jeff, the teacher was just a stupid dumbass. Last I heard, being stupid was not a crime. Well, see, here's the thing. When you hear the charge, making a terrorist threat, that's a big deal. And, we talk about that in different contexts. Every spring, it seems like when kids want to get out of school early, there's people that call in and say there's a bomb in the school or whatever. And I am the first to argue that people who do that need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. You can't allow them to do that. This, though, strikes me as different, and I'm not standing up for the teacher. He apparently finds a notebook with a swastika, and he goes off on the kids. And then a couple days later, I guess he finds scraps of paper, so there's more swastikas. So that tells me that you got one or more of these kids that are trying to bait the teacher. Now, you're the grown-up. You can't allow yourself to be baited. And that is precisely what happened. So after finding this other stuff, he ends up, going on, and it's this rant that I have described, which is completely and totally inappropriate. But it's not like he called up the kids at home and said, I'm going to bomb your house. It's not like he acted out on any of this stuff. He just completely and totally lost it, which to me demonstrates that he doesn't have the temperament to be a teacher. This is the wrong line of work for him, and he shouldn't be in the classroom. No problem with that at all. And I think this is one where the discipline of his contract wasn't going to be renewed. This is one where if they were talking about just suspending him for a couple days or whatever, I would argue that was inappropriate. That was too slight. That was a slap on the wrist. But he's going to lose his job. So he's already going to lose his job. Are you really going to put this guy in prison for 3 years for doing this? What do you gain, Ozaukee County District Attorney's Office, by charging him with a felony for, again, simply losing it in the classroom? Isn't losing your job enough of a penalty? James in Mequon. James, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Hi.
What do you think?
So first of all, I'm Jewish, and I own about, I think, 8 guns. So just FYI, you know the wrong Jews. That's all I'm saying. No, but all kidding aside, that's actually true. But anyways, no, you know what? I'm a little torn with this because, look, if a Jewish person sees a swastika, it's enraging.
Yes.
And I understand the reaction to a certain extent, And this could be from a kid who, learns this kind of hateful symbol and behavior at home and has some, his house and this child has issues with Jewish people. And look, it's grafted. I mean, it's not unknown,
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, I also understand that if somebody makes threats in a school of violence in this day and age, you do really have to take that very, very seriously,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really kind of torn. Yes, if somebody was just yelling at kids, I can't tell you how many times kids came home and said their teacher was screaming at the top of their lungs. It's an inappropriate behavior for a teacher, and they probably shouldn't be a teacher if they can't control their emotions
absolutely.
like that. But does it? But does this rise to terroristic threats? I mean, is this the same as saying I'm going to be blowing up?
The
God
school.
knows what.
The school, right. Is this the same as saying I'm upset the school hasn't done anything, so I'm going to blow up the school? Right. Now, Jim, thanks. I guess that's where I agree. I mean, this seems to me to be a complete and total overreaction. And I say that without the fact, and if people interpret this as me defending this teacher who clearly lost it, that's not my intent. I'm just saying that you need to reserve these charges. Domestic terrorism and making terrorist threats, you need to resolve it. If you wanted to do anything here, if they had issued him a citation for disorderly conduct, either a civil citation or even if you felt it was necessary to charge the guy with a misdemeanor for disorderly conduct because it created all this uproar, I don't know that I'd have the same way. I mean, I guess I might still use the same analysis, which would say, okay, he's being fired. Do you really need to cite him for disorderly conduct or charge him with a misdemeanor? But at least then it's an arguable thing. You can say, okay, well, maybe what he did, he created this huge disruption and it freaked out all these parents and stuff, and it would fit within, I think, a reasonable definition of disorderly conduct if they had chosen to go that route. But they didn't. They nailed him with a 3.5-year felony for making terrorist threats. And I'm sorry, losing it in front of a bunch of kids. And, it's not like he came over to their houses. It's not like he called them up. This was a public thing. He lost it in the classroom. Should he be teaching? Of course not. Of course not. But again, I would argue an ordinance violation or a misdemeanor or something, a disorderly conduct thing, that's okay. I mean, that's fine. That would be appropriate. It makes me wonder whether the Ozaukee County District Attorney has more time on his hands than he really has cases. If this is the type of thing that you're going to go the felony route for, hopefully cooler heads will prevail. He's lost his job. Maybe this is one where you come in and you say, okay, here's the deal. You plead guilty to a misdemeanor of disorderly conduct or an ordinance violation or whatever, and then we all move on and we get over this. That's, I think, the way to handle it. You don't need this option, this kind of what I'm going to describe as a nuclear option, for cases that don't rise to that level. And this strikes me as one of those cases that doesn't rise to that level. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Hey, boaters! Now, I wasn't eavesdropping. I just happened to overhear him talking about us. He said if you know what you're looking for, just rummage around. You'll find it. And it's true, because we stock more boat parts and accessories than anyone. Even those oddball parts you thought you'd never find. This is Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin. Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We've got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters! Truly the best supplier around for all of our boating needs. This place is magic. I call it my candy store for boating parts. This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And yeah, I said it, but these are the actual words of our satisfied and loyal customers. Boaters in the know exactly where to go, and there's a reason. We've got it all for our boater buddies. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin. Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Your pain is likely due to a wear and tear process called osteoarthritis. Now, when you combine that with being a little overweight or not being as active as you'd like to be, you get into a downward pain spiral. At Rejuvenex, we control pain by precisely targeting and treating the areas where your pain lives, like shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, with our powerful FDA-approved treatments that cushion and lubricate the affected areas to deliver long-lasting pain relief. Now, like maintenance on a car, to maintain your relief, our team of physicians will follow up with you roughly every 6 to 18 months. My name is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. Rejuvenex is in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our texters raises an interesting question, and it is a provocative one, and I have to think through it. But in the situation we were just talking about, you have a Jewish teacher who, after finding multiple pictures of swastikas, one in a notebook and then one on scraps of paper in his classroom over a couple period of days, completely loses it, screams at the kids, yells at them, arguably threatens them, kind of freaks them out, creates a disturbance. He has now been charged with a felony. One of our texters says, Jeff, let's change it. Instead of a Jewish teacher that finds a swastika, what if it was a black teacher who finds slips of paper and a notebook with racial slurs written in it, the N-word or whatever? And what would have happened if the black teacher did the same thing, exact same stuff, said the exact same thing to the kids? In that situation, the texter asks, do you think the district attorney's office would have issued charges? And what would the reaction of the community have been if they had issued charges in that case? Would there have been more attention being paid on that case, the kids who were writing or putting the racist things out than there was on the reaction of the teacher to the racist stuff. And that's a very provocative question. I guess I don't know the answer to it. I do, I guess, off the top of my head, I think the reaction, again, if this had been along racial lines as opposed to along, the anti-Semitic stuff, my guess is the district attorney might have treated it in a different way, which then, of course, raises the question of would that have been, appropriate? And I guess I don't know the answer to that, but it's something certainly to think about. It's one of the reasons why, again, I go back to the premise, the guy shouldn't be teaching. He should lose his job, lose his gig, but whether or not you bring a felony charge against him, I think that's a gross overreaction. If anything, give him a disorderly conduct citation or charge him with misdemeanor disorderly conduct, and then you kind of move on from that. We've got a lot of interesting stuff coming up in the next half hour of the program, including there's a report out that really may change the way that many of us watch television moving forward. I'll share that with you in just a couple moments. Right now, though, WTMJ Breaking News time is 1:30 p.m., and from the WTMJ Breaking News Center, here she is. Sandy Max.
Thanks, Jeff. The Assembly passed a wide-ranging shared revenue bill yesterday following months of closed-door negotiations that could increase aid at least 15% for all local governments in the state and give Milwaukee City and County the ability to raise additional revenues if voters approve higher sales taxes. Milwaukee City and County leaders oppose that provision, which appears to also be a sticking point between Assembly and Senate Republicans. But Republican State Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu told the Associated Press today that the Senate will likely remove that provision and make other unspecified changes when it votes on the bill, likely in early June. The Senate and Assembly must approve the same bill before it would go to Democratic Governor Tony Evers, who on yesterday said he was confident that a bipartisan compromise could be reached. Speaker of the Wisconsin State Assembly, Robin Vos, has said that he's done with negotiating and told the AP that the Assembly would not pass a bill that does away with the vote requirement for Milwaukee. A new round of police officer recruitment begins tomorrow. Milwaukee Fire and Police Commission wants to change the recruitment process so that prospective officers can apply anytime instead of waiting for a designated recruitment period. The commission hopes this will increase the applicant pool and continue to build a police department that reflects the city's diversity. Deer District's newest landmark opens today, the Trade Hotel right across the street from Fiserv Forum, giving media tours today as it opens the doors to the public soon. The hotel offers more than 200 luxurious rooms and suites, plus destination dining with a rooftop restaurant and lounge. It will also offer accommodations for taller people like NBA stars. Some rooms, bigger beds, taller ceilings, and higher countertops. Time now for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is down to 33,346. The S&P 500 up to 4,172 and the NASDAQ up 12,604. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. No major accidents and no major delays.
Traffic is sponsored by Evans Transportation Services. Thank heavens for Evans. Rely on one company for accounting, shipping, and tracking. Evans Transportation Services. Family owned for 40 years and continuing to grow. Evans Transportation Services in Brookfield.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast. Increasing clouds today. High 74 inland, 65 by the lake. Tonight, rain and thunder showers, low 54. Friday weather, early thunder showers with a slight chance of rain in the afternoon. Breezy, high 65 tomorrow. The weekend looks sunny. Sunshine on Saturday, high 67. Sunshine Sunday, high 73 with a chance for a quick afternoon cool down. Monday weather, partly cloudy, high 65. In Waukesha, 66. Madison, 70. Green Bay, 68. And in Milwaukee, 61 degrees. I'm Sandy Max, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 1:33.
I'm Jeff Wagner. Coming up next, another reason to cut the cord. I'll explain. We'll discuss.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Don't let the term discount real estate agent throw you. All it means is that we'll give you the same experience, expertise, and know-how as the big-name real estate firms, but we'll do it for less. And when you weigh 6% commission against as low as 3.5% and no higher than 3.9% for a full-service real estate agent, including full MLS marketing with no upfront fees, you'll realize there's no reason for you to pay more. This is Angela Calais with Benefit Realty. where we'll make your move simple and affordable. Benefit-realty.com. So you have your down payment in mind and you're ready to buy your new home. You figure your monthly payment, add in your taxes, and realize, hey, you can do this. But you forgot the 6% commission that you'll have to pay your real estate agent. Whoa, 6%. That's a lot, especially when we'll sell your home for as low as 3.5% and no higher than 3.9%. And that's 100% full service with no upfront fees. I'm Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where we'll make your move simple and affordable. Benefit-realty.com.
CPAP is one option that can be used to keep the throat open at night. It can work. There are other ways of keeping that airway open other than the machine. Another option that most people have never heard of is an oral appliance. An oral appliance is like a retainer that you wear when you're sleeping at night. It's super slim, slides in your mouth, and what it does is it helps to keep your airway open. That's exactly what a CPAP machine does. Most people who are good candidates for a CPAP machine to treat their sleep apnea are also good candidates for an oral appliance. Most of those people never get offered an oral appliance. Advent has decided to change the practice of medicine in this country by offering oral appliances to our patients. And what that means is we are allowing our patients to have the choice of a CPAP machine oral appliance when they have sleep apnea, and that's a big deal.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventNows.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
I freely acknowledge that this may be one of the indications that God has of telling you that you have too much money. The other day I was reviewing our different entertainment sources at home, and just like many of you, I have over the last couple of years, because I'm a TV addict. I acknowledge it, and I've gotten sucked in to the various streaming services. So at our house, we've got Apple TV, we've got Netflix, we've got Hulu, we've got Peacock, we've got Paramount, Disney, Amazon Prime. I'm embarrassed to go through this list, but that's it. This is me being honest with you. We have all those different things, and the truth is, I watch different stuff on the different things. And then there'll be times when I'll be sitting there and I can't find anything that I want to watch on any of those. And on top of that, we have not cut the cord. We still have we have Spectrum, right? So we've got that. Now, I don't have any of the premium channels on Spectrum or anything, so that reduced the monthly bill. But I've got that. Oh, yes. I also have YouTube TV. I have YouTube TV because our place in Florida, it's a long story, but I need YouTube TV to get like regular TV channels in Florida. So I got YouTube TV, but I could access this here. So I don't even want to think about how much money a month we're paying for the entertainment sort of things. But we continue to, so it would be, I think with all those different streaming sources, it would be possible, and perhaps I think I could perhaps cut the cord with the cable provider, and I'm using cable, whether I'm using it in the context of Spectrum, but I don't mean to pick on Spectrum, whether it's DirecTV or whatever. I think with all the different streaming alternatives that are out there, I could probably cut the cord, and I might miss a little bit, but probably not a lot. I mean, I need to add the Bally Sports app so I could watch baseball and I could watch basketball, but but you could do it. You could do it. One of the major reasons, though, that people still don't cut the cord is because of one cable network that does not stream. Do you know what that cable network is, Charlie? Would you like to take a guess? What the cable network is that is not available on streaming services and yet is extremely popular, maybe the most popular cable network or network available on basic cable, or on cable, that is. Would you like to guess what it is?
Well, you said most popular, so I kind of want to say CNN, but I also want to say TBS.
No, wrong and wrong. Okay, what is? Let me give you a hint. Our sister radio station is an affiliate of what broadcasting operation?
ESPN.
ESPN. Ding, ding, ding.
What
exactly
about ESPN
right.
Plus?
Okay, thank you. ESPN Plus does not stream ESPN. I mean, it's different programming. So, for example, if you wanted to watch, like yesterday, there was the NBA basketball, which some of them are on ESPN, some of them are on TNT. I forget which one, but you could no, the ESPN Plus does not duplicate the content of ESPN. It's not like a live sort of thing. So anyhow, here's the deal: ESPN is not available right now as a subscription streaming service. ESPN Plus is, and I guess there might be some overlap in content, but ESPN Plus is different than ESPN, the flagship network. Now, the way cable companies make money is they purchase or they buy the rights to carry programming, in this case, like from Disney, which produces ESPN. So they pay money to ESPN for the right to carry ESPN. They then turn around, put that on their networks, like Spectrum would be the example, and they then charge people like me, subscribers, for the right to watch the programming, including ESPN. And one of the big reasons why at least many people still haven't cut the cord is because of ESPN. Because you want to be able to have the sports updates. And yes, there is stuff on ESPN Plus, but it's not the same content as ESPN. So here's the story exclusively in the Wall Street Journal. ESPN is laying the groundwork to sell its channel directly to cable cord cutters as a subscription streaming service in coming years, according to people familiar with the matter. This would be a shift which would have, they say, profound implications for the company and the broader television business. Executives at ESPN and its parent Disney company for years have said it was inevitable that the sports TV channel would one day be available as a standalone streaming service. Now, as consumers increasingly cut the cable TV cord, the company is actively preparing for that shift under a project with the internal code name Flagship. ESPN would continue to offer the TV channel after launching a streaming option, people familiar said. However, this change would have a major impact on cable TV providers since ESPN is one of the main attractions of the cable bundles. Providers to pay to carry ESPN would also have to compete with the new streaming service. That's kind of like, all right, like Spectrum offers, let's take HBO. So you can get HBO through Spectrum, and they charge you extra for the previous channels. Or alternatively, you can stream HBO Plus, which is everything that's on HBO, and drop it from the cable channel. And I mean, I did that, and add HBO Plus to what I have. I did that, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper to do it with the streaming thing. Maybe not as convenient, but it's cheaper. But anyhow, ESPN is looking at doing this, and they are saying it is inevitable. So if you have, for example, that the cable TV setup, and now you don't need that to get ESPN. You can instead get ESPN through the app. I think the concern is this might be one of the final nails in the coffin of the cable, and I'm using cable, DirecTV, all that sort of thing. This might be one of the final nails in their coffin because ESPN is one of the motivating things as to why people would have the service in the first place. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. I want to talk big picture here. Looking 5 years in the future, looking 10 years in the future, will what I'm going to call the traditional cable outlets, the DirecTVs, the Spectrums, the Comcasts, the whatever, will there be dinosaurs? Will there be things of the past? Will we be getting all our entertainment either through over-the-air antennas, the real old-fashioned way, or through streaming? Are we at the start of like the death throes of the traditional cable companies? 855-616-1620. Is streaming going to kill the cable companies? 855-616-1620. We discuss.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
This is going to be interesting, so pay attention.
Mountains and trees, ducks and hunting dogs, dinosaur bones, meteorites, steel that's carved like the leather stirrups on a Western saddle. Damascus steel, like they make swords out of. Carbon fiber. Hardwood.
Manly things.
Hardwood. You already said that. I know. I just like the sound of it. Hardwood. It does have a nice ring to it.
Ring. I see what you did there.
I'm sorry, I got us off track.
Kessler's has wedding bands for men.
Real men.
Made of manly things.
He wants you to wear a big, beautiful diamond so that everyone you meet will know how much he loves you.
Why not insist that he wear something equally cool?
You'll tell your grandkids about the day you went shopping for this wedding band at Kessler's when they ask,
Where did you get such a cool ring? And what is it made of?
Welcome to Kessler's.
To find the Kessler's nearest you,
go to KesslersDiamonds.com.
I'm not against shopping online. In fact, you can check out our huge selection at BurkhartSportingGoods.com. But when you're ready to buy, Burkhart should be your only stop. Because here, you can grab hold of the Midwest's largest selection of baseball bats, gloves, and equipment, and take all the swings you need in our indoor batting cages to make sure you buy the right bat. And when you buy your new mitt, we'll steam and custom fit it for you right on the spot. This is Brian Burkhart, and when you love baseball and softball like we do, you can't beat Burkhart. If you're in charge of uniforms and equipment, you want to get the most value for your team's budget. You want the most for your money, and you want the process to be easy. Because you already have enough on your plate. We get it. Burkhart Sporting Goods Team Outfitting Division is the best you'll find. With an abnormally high customer satisfaction rate and our own silk screening and embroidery facility for quality control. So if you want the highest quality team outfitting and incredible service, you can't beat Burkhart.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. There are over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
Providing the largest cancer clinical trials treatment program in Wisconsin is more than a statistic. It means offering you more options. It means more hope. And having expertise for every type of cancer is more than a checklist. It's how we're able to create a personalized treatment plan to help conquer your individual cancer. Because at the Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Network, people are the driving force behind providing the most advanced, most powerful cancer care available. Our clinical excellence has led to incredible breakthroughs, like using a person's own genes to successfully treat cancer. And by offering an adaptive therapy that combines an MRI scanner with leading-edge technology, we're able to deliver ultra-precise radiation therapy that adapts to your cancer's changes. We push further, learn more, and lead the way. That's how we do everything humanly possible for life without cancer. To find out how dedication fuels breakthrough cancer care, visit Froedtert.com/cancer.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
But because, one of the interesting things, because ESPN is apparently getting ready to set up its own streaming service, because ESPN, the channel, which is one of the big attractions that gets people to, again, subscribe to the cable companies and things like that. And yes, you can also get ESPN if you completely cut the cord, if you've got Hulu TV or you've got YouTube TV or whatever. But it's still one of the principal attractions for people who have what I'm describing as the conventional cable stuff. But if they set up their own streaming service where they provide that channel, then you've got essentially them competing. ESPN is competing with the cable companies that carry it. That's what's happening now, again, with some of the premium channels. You can get HBO Plus, which you stream, or you can pay extra to Spectrum or DirecTV for the ability to watch HBO on there. So they're competing with each other. Same thing is true with Showtime, which is owned by CBS. Showtime, I believe, is shortly going to go away as a separate pay option because you get Showtime with Paramount now. I mean, so if you're interested in the stuff they have in Showtime, you subscribe to Paramount Plus, you've got the Showtime stuff as well. 855-616-1620. Jeremy in Racine. Jeremy, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I don't think it's going to destroy the cable companies. The number one thing that they have the advantage over in the market is they own all the infrastructure to deliver the information for people to watch these things in the first place. So if ESPN starts up their own network and they want to stream in Southeast Wisconsin, well, they're going to have to utilize their lines, either them or AT&T or whoever else. But when it comes to internet service providing,
Yep.
they are king, and they're also trying to like pivot towards cell phone deals as well. I get the advertisements all the time for cell phone switch over and all that. So they're going nowhere. They're going to be around for a long time.
Well, but let's work with that premise. You're right, because you still need to get the internet. You need you can't watch any of these streaming services unless you have a good internet service. So you're right. Like the cable companies, what we're calling a cable company, they provide that, and you're right, they're getting into the phone business. But what about, for the longest time, one of their big bread and butter things, a high profit thing, was the people that were watching like the cable television. Does that aspect of the business go away?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much already.
Yeah.
It's been a slow death for them for years already. Most people I know that actually watch regular television, the older people, they use like high HD antennas on their houses.
Right.
So they already get free cable TV, all the same stuff basically.
Right.
Just you're not getting the premium channels. But in the end, they've been pivoting for a while. The writing's been on the wall for a long time.
Yeah, no, thanks for calling. I don't disagree about that. And you're right. It is a pivot, and I think that's exactly right. I think that aspect, I mean, providing the content, that has been a huge revenue stream for years and years, and that right. And you still have to figure out where you're going to get your internet service. You need your wireless internet service, or else you don't get any of this other stuff. But I think you're exactly right. That's why you see more and more of the pivoting, trying to get you to again switch your cell phone service and things like that, because I think these traditional cable companies are looking at this and they're recognizing the business, as there are more challenges and more people become comfortable with streaming services and the flexibility that it gives you. I think it's going to be tougher and tougher for the content providers to survive, at least that aspect to survive. Jeff, AT&T and Spectrum will still exist because they have the infrastructure to deliver the internet services for streaming. But providing programming, I think YouTube, I think Amazon, I think other streaming services, they are the future. Jeff in Fox Point. Jeff, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hi, Jeff. I think that AT&T and Spectrum will be fine because of internet, but the traditional cable television providers, I think, will be dead in 5 years, mainly because the rates are so out of control.
Yeah, I mean, right. Thanks. That's. I think you've got that, and it's the providers. They're sort of they're caught in the middle, and we've seen this for a number of years, because what happens is you've got the providers, in this case like your Spectrum or your Comcast or whatever. They're in the middle because they've got to pay the people that produce the content. They've got to pay ESPN for the right to carry their channels. They've got to pay Discovery. They've got to pay the History Channel. They've got to pay the local channels for the right to carry this. And then in turn, they have to take that and they have to pass that cost on, with them also making money to consumers. Whereas now you've got that competition, and maybe you have the folks. Unlike the example I was giving you, my current example, where I've got all these different streaming services, but there are folks that say, okay, I'm comfortable, for example, with YouTube television that has a whole bunch of these different, doesn't have as many channels, but it's got 32 or 35 channels, and it's got the ones that I watch mostly, and I can get that for $80 a month as opposed to $180 a month, or whatever that number would be. So there's a tendency to do that. Or maybe you have people that say, I don't even need that much stuff, and to the extent I need entertainment, I get it. I've got Netflix, and Netflix is $9 or whatever the Netflix thing is, and I think what's going to happen is, I think you're going to see additional pressure being put on the traditional, what I'm calling the cable companies. I think you're also going to see these streaming services. I think some of them are going to go under. I don't think it is sustainable to have as many as we have, because sooner or later, I think people are going to start making choices. Some will survive. Netflix is always going to be there. I think Apple TV is probably always going to be there. But some of the others, I would look for perhaps maybe some consolidation or something like that. But from the perspective of consumers, there's no question this is kind of the golden age of content because there's all this stuff that's out there, and as more and more people become familiar and comfortable with the whole concept of the streaming services, and as internet expands. Now, a couple of our texters are suggesting that, well, Jeff, you got to understand, if you're in an area where there's crummy internet service, well, cable is the only game in town, and that's true. I admit I've got a kind of myopic view of this because I live in high population areas where there's good cable service. Yeah, if I was somewhere in rural Wisconsin, or if I was living in Montana or something, the rural Montana, where you had mountains and you couldn't get good cable service, you couldn't get good internet service. Well, yeah, then I'd be going with the cable route. But as internet service expands, I think more and more people make the decision to cut the cord. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ. Every hour.
Public defenders and assistant district attorneys would get a pay raise under a GOP plan passed in the Joint Finance Committee.
Every day.
A major change to President Biden's trip to Asia as negotiations continue over the debt limit.
The news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Republican lawmakers are not leaving room for the Brewers in the state budget. Instead, talks of a standalone bill for ballpark improvements.
If the Brewers leave, we're going to have an empty stadium that we're going to have to demolish.
News Radio WTMJ.
I don't want to go to bed at night dreading waking up in the morning knowing that I'm going to feel like a rusty lawn chair getting out of bed and getting opened up and not being able to really move for a couple hours really throughout the day.
For former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter and those dealing with daily aches and pains, QC Kinetics regenerative pain treatments are a game changer, providing long-lasting relief.
Go into a specific joint, a specific region, and then help promote that healing process using your own body's mechanisms to heal. I mean, that's been something that's pretty powerful, and there's no surgery, there's no downtime.
QC Kinetics natural treatments help the body heal and restore itself. No more rusty lawn chair.
It's no surprise to see people being willing to try this first, especially when it has such great results.
Pain relief the natural way. QC Kinetics. Call today for your complimentary consultation. Find out if you're a good candidate for treatment.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Cut through the clutter with Axiom, the weekly newsletter from Annex Wealth Management. Subscribe today for 7 insights built and delivered to you every Sunday. It'll help you navigate the markets and the things that affect your money. The Axiom. Sign up at annexwealth.com.
Hey, boaters! Truly the best supplier around for all of our boating needs. This place is magic. I call it my candy store for boating parts. This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And yeah, I said it, but these are the actual words of our satisfied and loyal customers. Boaters in the know exactly where to go, and there's a reason. We've got it all for our boater buddies. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
Now, I wasn't eavesdropping. I just happened to overhear him talking about us. He said if you know what you're looking for, just rummage around. You'll find it. And it's true, because we stock more boat parts and accessories than anyone. Even those oddball parts you thought you'd never find. This is Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Speaking of streaming services, if you have Peacock, they've got a whole section that's devoted to the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. And every once in a while, when I can't find anything I want to watch, I go to the WWE thing, and I find documentaries of guys that were wrestlers back when I was watching wrestling back in the day. And we've talked about that on the program before. Just got done watching a documentary on the life of superstar Billy Graham. And if you are a wrestling fan, you perhaps will remember Billy Graham. He was Billy Graham. If there wasn't a superstar Billy Graham, there would not have been a Hulk Hogan. There would not have been a Jesse the Body Ventura. He was the first, muscle-bound, bodybuilder that went into wrestling. And he was the guy that talked about how he had the big pythons and things like that and, did all the poses. And Jesse the Body Ventura and Hulk Hogan, both, they ripped him off. He mentored them. So, it was just, but he was the one that kind of originated the gimmick. And he said, he started watching wrestling with the old Gorgeous George, and he took it to that next step. Interesting guy. His real name was Wayne Coleman. I bring this up because superstar Billy Graham, he got the name Billy Graham. His name was Wayne Coleman. Superstar Billy Graham came from two things that were happening at once. The rock musical Jesus Christ Superstar, and he was a big fan of the evangelist Billy Graham. So it became Superstar Billy Graham. He passed away this week at the age of 79. Just another one of these, really, really famous wrestlers from that bygone era. Most of them don't make it to their mid-70s, much less their late 70s. But if you were a fan of wrestling back in the day, the 60s, 70s, these early 80s, you undoubtedly remember Superstar Billy Graham. He has now passed away. Sail on. Lots of stuff coming up in the 2 o'clock hour of the program. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
I'm certified financial planner Tony Drake with Drake & Associates. If you're retired or looking to retire soon, have you developed a strategy to minimize or eliminate the taxes when you start pulling money out of your IRA or 401k? If you haven't, then you have a very vulnerable plan because taxes are going up in the future. And if you look at the spending our government does, taxes could rise even more. Find out what's missing in your retirement strategy by requesting a copy of my Retirement Ready Toolkit that's loaded with materials designed to help protect you from taxes. Call or text TAX to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting TAX to 414-409-9982 to get your free toolkit today.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
Your hometown hub for everything that matters. The latest news, traffic, weather, and sports on Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 2 o'clock, it is 62 degrees, increasing clouds, a high of 65 today. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. Senate Republicans and Assembly Republicans are at odds over a key ingredient in the shared revenue bill.
The measure passed by the Assembly Wednesday would require a referendum on a sales tax for Milwaukee City and County. The Assembly says the referendum must remain in place, but Senate Leader Devin Lemieux tells the AP the Senate would likely remove that provision. So what happens now?
I've been in the same spots, both in the Assembly and then in the Senate.
Waukesha County Executive Paul Farrow.
Where we've had a bill, we negotiated it, one house passed it, the other house made changes, it brought back, we discussed it, and we passed it together.
Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
A new round of police officer recruitment beginning this Friday. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman telling 1017 The Truth he wants prospective officers to have a sense of commitment to Milwaukee.
I want people to be part of this effort because they want to be, because they feel that there is something they can add to the particular work that's being done. Don't come to me us with talking about this is just a good job.
Milwaukee Fire and Police Commission wants to change the recruitment process so that prospective officers can apply anytime instead of waiting for a designated recruitment period. They're hoping that will increase the applicant pool and continue building a police department that accurately reflects the city's diversity. A 60-minute class at the YMCA this weekend could save your life.
Number one cause of death in children 1 to 4 is drowning.
Proper adult supervision and just some basic life-saving skills, we can prevent a large number of these drownings.
That's Sam Seidel, Greater Waukesha County YMCA. Seidel says you can learn a lot in an hour, including how to respond when someone else is struggling in the water.
They can reach objects or find something to throw to their friend.
The classes Saturday at multiple suburban Ys are free and open to everyone. gycymca.org to sign up. Vince Vitrano, WTMJ News.
Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News time 2:03.
Old National Bank is asking everyone to get old. But first, people have questions.
Will it take me years to get old?
No, getting old can literally happen in minutes.
Is getting old like a complicated process?
Not at all. Just stop into one of our banking centers or visit our website. We even have an app for that.
Will I look any different after I get old?
You may look happier and more relaxed with a banking partner like us.
Definitely want to get old.
Introducing Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Old National Bank. Get old. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Matt had just moved into his first apartment and needed furniture to fill it, but he didn't have a big credit line. So I told him about St. Vincent de Paul. There's always a nice selection of gently used furniture there, and sometimes you can find some really cool retro pieces. And the best part is, it's always super affordable. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores for first-time furniture buyers or anyone looking for great deals on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Top Fitness has the largest selection of home fitness equipment in Wisconsin. Their staff will show you why it's no secret that everyone from personal trainers to professional athletes loves Top Fitness. Their superior customer service can help you reach your fitness goals. Save big during the Top Fitness Memorial Day sale going on now. Take up to $800 off Inspire home gyms, racks, and cages. Snag up to $1,300 off Precourt treadmills and ellipticals. Take up to $2,500 off True treadmills. Plus, save over 50% on select Spirit treadmills, ellipticals, and exercise bikes. Fitness is their passion. Top Fitness carries a full range of gear from the best brands. So if you're looking for a complete home gym design or some simple weights, a Top Fitness store is the perfect place. Also available, professional delivery, assembly, and interest-free financing. Stop by the Top Fitness Brookfield location on Blue Mound Road and online at topfitness.com. Top Fitness, your best choice in home fitness equipment.
After dropping 2 of 3 against the Cardinals in St. Louis, the Brewers' road trip continues on Friday night with Game 1 of a 3-game series against the Rays. Brewers still in first place in the NL Central, 1 game up on the Pirates. The Rays own the best record in baseball at 32-12. NBA tonight, it's the Lakers and Nuggets. Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals from Denver, where the Nuggets own a 1-0 series lead. And Keegan Bradley has the early lead during round 1 of the PGA Championship from Oak Hill Country Club in New York. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic, and everything is looking good. No major slowdowns or delays right now. Everything, including 41, which had been slow for much of the day, that's going smooth right now. And looking up, it seems like there are no accidents or even any disabled vehicles reported, so it's a smooth ride all around Milwaukee.
Traffic is sponsored by the Heiser Automotive Group. Come in and make that deal. Visit Heiser Automotive Group with 4 convenient locations or online at heiser.com. Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Lincoln, and Cadillac. Today's your day.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Increasing clouds today, a high of 65 at the lake, 74 degrees inland. Tonight we will see rain and thunder showers, a low of 54. Those thunder showers continuing into early tomorrow morning. We do have a slight chance of rain in the afternoon. It will be breezy with a high of 65. Saturday, mostly sunny, a high of 67. Sunday, also mostly sunny, a high of up to 73. But we do have a chance for a quick afternoon cool down Sunday. And on Monday, it will be partly cloudy, a high of 65. Right now in Madison, it's 71. In Green Bay, it's 68. In Waukesha, it is 68. And in Milwaukee, it is 62 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmar-Pooley, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Got to have the World Championship. The 24-inch pythons of the superstar will prevail.
And there he is, fans, the legend, superstar Billy Graham, joining us here today on World Championship Wrestling. For David Crockett, I'm Tony Schiavone. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, superstar Billy Graham. And if you are not a wrestling fan, everybody knows Hulk Hogan, right? And everybody knows Jesse the Body Ventura. Like I say, before there was Hulk Hogan, before there was Jesse the Body Ventura, there was superstar Billy Graham. And he was the guy that pioneered that sort of gimmick and passed away at the age of 79. If you have Peacock, and it was so interesting because I was watching, like I said, it was one of those days where I was kind of bored looking for something to watch, and I came across this documentary that the WWE had done about you can turn down the music there, Charlie. We came across a documentary that they had done on him. It was really kind of an interesting. He was an interesting guy who kind of created this gimmick that became incredibly popular. Like I say, sail on. All right. Let me kind of back into this particular topic. Whenever we talk about legalizing marijuana, we have a huge discussion, and I understand that I'm in the minority. I'm in that 40% of people who do not think legalized marijuana is a good thing. But I understand that probably 60% of people for recreational use think it is. So I understand I'm swimming upstream with this regard. I also understand that a number of states around us have legalized marijuana, recreational marijuana. And we're not talking about medicinal. That to me is a completely different story. There is an issue that arises, though, with legalized or still prohibited marijuana, and that is that marijuana stays in your system for weeks at a time, unlike alcohol, where you go out, you drink, and the alcohol quickly dissipates. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't really, really tie one on, go to bed, wake up, and you still got, too much alcohol in your system, because that can happen. But as a general rule, you can even drink a lot, and within 12 hours or maybe a little more, the alcohol is going to be gone from your system. Marijuana is not like that. Marijuana stays in your system for, like I say, it stays for weeks, which poses an issue. And I want to share this story with you and then really get your reaction. Here's the headline, Wall Street Journal. American workers testing positive for marijuana reaches a 25-year record. Drug testing reveals surge in employee marijuana use as more states legalize. As legal marijuana expands in the U.S., a record share of workers are testing positive for the substance in workplace screening. Of the more than 6 million general workforce tests that Quest Diagnostics, which is one of the country's largest drug testing labs, screened for marijuana in 2022, 4.3% came back positive, up from 3.9% the prior year. This is the largest marijuana positivity rate since 1997. The percentage of employees that tested positive for marijuana following an on-the-job accident rose to 7.3% in 2022, an increase of 9% compared to the prior year. From 2012 to 2022, post-accident marijuana positive test results tripled, tracking with widening legislation. So let me say that again. Workplace accidents. Now, you can't, at this point in time, I don't think it's fair to say there's necessarily a causation. But somebody has a workplace accident, and then they do drug testing, and they're finding that it's now about 7% of the people involved in the workplace accidents end up testing positive for marijuana. Now, that's not necessarily saying that they're under the influence of marijuana at the time of the accident, because, like I say, marijuana stays in your system for a long time, especially compared with alcohol, for example. And 4.3% of just all the drug testing they do comes back positive for marijuana. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Now, like I say, I recognize that a majority of you believe that recreational marijuana should be legal. Okay? Let us accept that as a premise. Knowing, though, that marijuana is going to stay in your system for a period of time, as opposed to like alcohol, for example, which is gone quickly. I mean, here is my question. Should employers be allowed to continue to drug test for marijuana? And should that be a basis for, I don't know, denying somebody employment? I think we do drug testing here. And, I don't know how they handle it if you test positive for marijuana or not. But I know one of the things, at least before we were owned by Good Karma Brands, and I'm sure it's probably no different now. I mean, one of the things that, you'd always tell people is, okay, if you're applying for a job and you get this job offer, understand that there is drug testing. And I know, at least in former iterations of this company, when it was Journal Communications, and then when it was Scripps, if you tested positive for marijuana, that would be a disqualifying thing. So, I mean, when I had people I know who were applying, I'd say, look, I'm just so you know, there's going to be a drug test. So before you apply, you might want to, if you're doing this, you might want to knock it off for a few weeks. Our number is 855-616-1620. A lot of people smoking marijuana, more or consuming marijuana in other fashions. More people, I think, are going to do that as more people as it gets legalized. All right, how should employers handle this? Should we still be testing for marijuana, recognizing that it's going to show up? You could have smoked marijuana 2 weeks ago, and it's entirely possible that you will test positive for marijuana when you go in and you pee in the jar. 855-616-1620. How do employers handle this? Do we just say, look, we're going to drop the drug testing, and if we think that you're impaired, regardless of what you're impaired on, then we're going to deal with this, but we're not going to test? 855-616-1620. How do we handle this moving forward? Is legalized marijuana or decriminalization of marijuana, is this the end, effectively, of drug testing? And is that a good thing or a bad thing? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely baseball season. This is your place to catch every pitch.
Here it is. He struck him out swinging.
Home run.
Going back onto the track. It is gone. Mike Brasso goes deep.
And everything in between.
I want to find that tape. We got to find that tape.
We'd be better off listening to adhesive tape.
We are the home of the Brewers on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner for the Frederick and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network. A serious diagnosis of cancer, heart disease, or a neurological condition may lead to you being offered a clinical trial. Dr. Ben George, a Frederick and the Medical College of Wisconsin medical oncologist and the director of the Cancer Clinical Trials Office, sheds light on clinical trials, how they fit into treatment, and why they're important. Listen to that conversation and all our previous everyday health discussions by visiting the features drop-down menu at WTMJ.com.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. I always thought Vince Lombardi came up with that famous sports nugget, but it turns out he borrowed it from a college coach. And now I'm going to borrow it too, because when there are 10 or 20 offers on a property, there's only one winner. In today's inventory-starved real estate market, you need a Lombardi-level mortgage coach, one who has all the best plays in the playbook. Going with your bank for your pre-approval is like playing in a professional playoff game with the JV coach at the helm. The Lombardi-level coaches at AccuNet are called senior loan consultants, and each one has been trained by me to help you and your real estate agent work as one team to deliver the one and only thing that matters: winning. So if you've been losing with your flimsy bank pre-approval, trade up today to a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and a Lombardi-level game plan. And if you're just getting started, why not start with the best? Click on the blue button today and get started with your winning game plan at ACCUNET.com.
Gear up for spring with a trip to Blaine's Farm and Fleet. We've got an unbeatable selection of products to keep your projects moving along. Like a Herculiner DIY bed liner kit from J.B. Weld, on sale $13.99. Krylon Rust Tough Paint, 15% off. Stock up on select Hillman hardware, now 10% off. And save $100 on a Hobart Handler 210 MVP MIG welder, on sale $1049.99.
Find value at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, Charlie, producing the show today and always. Here's a little trivia note. The year, I want to say it was 1972, could be 73, where George Carlin got arrested at Summerfest for saying the 7 words you can't say on television or in Milwaukee. And I was there that night. As I always say, I wasn't at the Ice Bowl, but I was at Summerfest that night. The headliners that night were Arlo Guthrie and Pete Seeger, but among the other acts that were there, Brewer and Shipley, who just did that One Toke Over the Line. That was their one big song. Brewer and Shipley, One Toke Over the Line. They performed the night that George Carlin got arrested. The Seagull Blues Band. Might have been one other one as well. But Brewer and Shipley were there. I saw them that night as well. We're playing One Toke Over the Line because if you're just tuning in, new numbers are out that the number of employees who tested positive for marijuana following an on-the-job accident rose to 7.3% last year. 7.3%, the highest percentage ever. And now it's not necessarily saying the accident was caused because people were high, because marijuana stays in your system for so long. But this is creating a huge problem for employers when it comes to drug testing, because how do you weed out, no offense, no pun intended, how do you weed out the people that are at work and they're impaired versus people who were smoking marijuana a week ago or so, but still have it in their system? Does this make drug testing passé? 855-616-1620. One of our texters says, Jeff, of course we need to keep testing. I'm a pilot for a major airline. Can you imagine if they stopped testing? That's a really interesting point, because pilots get tested for alcohol and stuff, but again, alcohol is out of your system. I mean, alcohol is out of your system. You can, be drinking on Thursday and then fly that plane on Sunday, and I think we would all agree that we want to have zero tolerance when it comes to that. But what about the pilot that, tokes up on Thursday? That they're still going to have marijuana in their system on Sunday. How do we deal with that? Let's start with Chris in Green Bay. Chris, you're on WTMJ.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for taking my call.
Sure.
I appreciate it. So here's the thing. Companies, I think, for a long time have not cared whether employees smoke marijuana or not. They've kept these testing in place to appease the insurance companies. And without having this testing, they won't be insured. And until it's legalized federally, insurance companies have no reason, no incentive to change what they require companies to have as far as testing to be insurable. So,
okay, let me ask you this. Like, as a practical matter, though, let's say you're the guy that drives the Zoomobile at the Milwaukee County Zoo, right? I mean, we would agree, I think, that we don't want that guy to show up. We don't want him to show up high, and we don't want him to show up drunk if you're driving the Zoomobile. So, I mean, our employers are going to still have to have some way of determining, who's come to work that might be impaired, right?
Absolutely. For instance, I was an IT professional. I was tested. I went to it and sat at a desk all day. But then I changed careers, decided to go get my CDL, and started driving over the road. I drove diesel. So there's going to be continued testing for everybody, because these insurance companies can't pick and choose who they decide they're going to require to have tested.
Yeah. No, I mean, thanks for calling. I agree. I don't think testing is going to go away. I guess part of the thing is, and this is what businesses are going to have to wrestle with the whole idea of, for example, what screens are you going to use? What drug screens you're going to use, and how do you term an impaired? It's really, when it comes to alcohol, it's okay. You've got different standards there. I mean, we've got, okay, you can't drive with over a .08. We've got clear delineations on that, and I guess it's possible to be impaired before that. And we've got, in some cases, you've got zero tolerance for things, which I would argue is a good thing. One of our texters says, look, I don't want my daughter working with people who are operating equipment or driving forklifts while they are high. Yes, exactly. I mean, and employers aren't going to want that. If you work at the Amazon warehouse thing down in wherever it is, the Pleasant Prairie, you don't want the people that are driving around on those forklifts to be impaired. You don't want them to be drunk. You don't want them to be high. So there's got to be a way of determining that. And I guess I don't know that our technology is there when it comes to marijuana. This is a huge issue because, again, it's the fact that it stays in your system for so long. But at the same time, we want to, I don't know, I think you want to be able to determine that. It's just a tougher sort of thing. This is an issue that, again, people are going to have to deal with moving forward because even for that 60% of you that disagree with me and think that recreational marijuana should be legalized and it's no worse than alcohol or maybe even better, okay, let's move beyond that. We would all agree that people, I hope, shouldn't be coming to work under the influence of whether it's alcohol or harder drugs or marijuana. So there's got to be a reliable way of continuing to screen that out, if somebody shows up and they're high, because you don't want the guy driving the Zoomobile to be high. You don't want the people driving the forklifts. You don't want the people, working the saws in the factories or whatever. You don't want them to be under the influence. So how do you end up, measuring that? What can you do? And I don't know what exactly the answer is, but at the same time, what you're starting to see is more and more people who are testing positive for marijuana, and employers, I think, are wrestling with, they're wrestling with that thing. Jeff, I work for a utility, and it is part of our OSHA requirements, and me, for being a commercial truck driver, a CDL, commercial driver's license, that I be tested for marijuana and all other substances. Right, and that's I think not going to change. So the question becomes: as more and more people get tested for marijuana, and more people smoking marijuana, more and more people are going to test positive for it. How do employers deal with that? And at least right now, I think the reaction is to say, no, you can't have it in your system. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Jeff Levering and wife Ashley love their new patio door from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
It's like having a brand new kitchen. It's so bright, it's so clear. I can see the kids outside playing.
I love the roll screen. The fact that the screen is on the inside, no drafts. It's a game changer.
Get 0% interest for up to 48 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and have everything installed in as little as a day. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer ends 5/31/2023.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Brian D. Summer. It is right around the corner. You know what that means. Graduations, weddings, all of the fun events that come along with the sunshine. Make sure you have your best smile on display when you're out and about. And for all the photos you're going to be taking, go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Whether it's a regular routine cleaning, a simple exam, a more complex procedure, a teeth whitening, Dr. Michaels and the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care are the best. They're going to make you as comfortable as possible while you're in the chair and give both you and your family an amazing smile. How do I know? He's my dentist. He takes care of me just like he's going to take great care of you. At Oconomowoc Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream. It is the reality. Dr. Michaels' fantastic staff can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so do not put it off any longer. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but how do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
For powerful HP tech your business can count on Staples. Staples has great prices on a full range of HP printers, PCs, laptops, and monitors. And now through May 27th, score an extra $50 off all HP laptops regularly priced $599.99 and above with the Staples Connect app. Plus, this week only, the HP OfficeJet 9015E wireless color inkjet printer is $70 off. For the best deals on the best HP tech for your small business, shop Staples. In-store only. Excludes Chromebooks and clearance.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
I don't know. A couple of our texters are saying, well, Jeff, you know, the drug testing for marijuana is, you're right, it could pick up people who've had it in their system for a couple of weeks, so that's essentially useless. So what employers need to do is they need to look at people and say, do they smell of marijuana, or are their eyes glassy, or are they watery? In that case, then you do the drug testing. Well, I don't know, that's kind of a risky thing. Do you want to say, gee, does this person, their eyes are a little bit watery and glassy because they're smoking marijuana, or is it because the pollen is really bad and they've got allergies and things like that? Now, I think drug testing is a component here. Now, maybe, you have to have a better job of trying to figure out, at what is the level it takes to be impaired. But I'm just telling you, this is a huge issue, because even the biggest pothead out there, I think, would say we don't want the kid driving the Zoomobile to be high on dope. At least I hope that they would feel that way. There is a story that's getting all sorts of attraction, and I just want to, it's worth a minute and a half on the program, so that's what I'm going to spend on it. The Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, who I could care less about, but if you want to talk about two attention-seeking divas, this is it. The story that's been circulating is they're talking about how the other night they were chased through New York City by paparazzi for hours. And, of course, Princess Diana died after being chased by paparazzi. So they're talking about, this was the same sort of thing. It was this life-threatening situation. It's turning out that the story is, if not completely bogus, it is largely bogus. And they went to an event. They had all these different, security measures, and they had different cars, and they were kind of freaking out. But this idea of a high-speed chase for 2 hours turns out to be, again, largely a creature of their imagination. And it's another one of these examples. And South Park did this so well, the TV show a couple months ago. You have Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, who have fled the United Kingdom because they had to get away from paparazzi. And they've said, we just want to be left alone. And yet every time you turn around, one or the other of them is on television trying to promote a book or trying to promote a documentary series or whatever. These two people are just incredible, attention hogs. And whenever you hear any of these stories, did something happen? Were they followed by photographers? Absolutely. This idea that they were in a life and death chase, high-speed chase like you see in the movies through New York for 2 hours, give me a break, didn't happen at all. But yet it gets them back in the news and allows them to play the victim card. When we come back, speaking of victims, got an interesting story. But first, WTMJ Breaking News time is 2:31 p.m. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, here's Wyatt Barmore-Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. 2 hours is about how long it takes to get through New York at rush hour speeds without a high-speed chase. Senate Republicans and Assembly Republicans in Wisconsin are at odds over a key ingredient in the shared revenue bill. That measure passed by the Assembly on Wednesday. It would require a referendum on a sales tax for Milwaukee City and County. Voters would have to approve it before it was passed. The Assembly says that's got to stay in place. Senate leader Devin LeMahieu says to the AP the Senate would likely remove that provision. That's been the position also supported by Governor Tony Evers. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos says he's done negotiating on the bill, and this version is what he is going to go with. A new round of police officer recruitment in Milwaukee beginning on Friday. The Fire and Police Commission wants to change the recruitment process so that anyone who's applying can apply at any time instead of waiting for a designated recruitment period. They're hoping that that will increase the applicant pool and also continue to build a police department that more accurately reflects the city's diversity. And in the Deer District, the newest landmark opening today, the Trade Hotel right across the street from Fiserv Forum. It's got more than 200 rooms and suites plus destination dining. It's got a rooftop restaurant and lounge. And being right across from the arena, it's going to offer accommodations for taller people like NBA stars. Some of those rooms will have bigger beds, taller ceilings, and higher countertops. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. And it looks like it's been the same as we've been seeing all day. Dow down, S&P, and NASDAQ up. The Dow is down, though, only 4 points, so it's not too bad. The S&P is up 24. That's over 0.5%. And the NASDAQ continuing to climb. It's at 147, nearly 148 points up. That is over 1%. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit AnnexWealth.com. Click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Things still looking good. Pretty much nothing to report. No major slowdowns or delays, and it's been a pretty clean day for accidents. None of them up on the board now. It looks like it's a little slow through the stadium interchange, but that's pretty much the only slow area in all around the city.
Traffic is brought to you by the senior real estate specialists at brucesteam.com, with you every step of the way. From downsizing to selling the long-time home, the senior real estate specialists at Bruce's Team are with you every step of the way. 262-242-6177.
It's time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. We got increasing clouds tonight, a low of 53. Tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy. Rain is likely, about a quarter to a half an inch possible, a high of 63. Saturday, partly cloudy, a high of 64 at the lake, up to 71 inland. Sunday is going to be mostly cloudy and cool, a chance of showers, and a high of 58. And on Monday, it's going to be mostly sunny, a high of 62 at the lake and 70 degrees inland. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, it is 62 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:33.
Gee, let's legalize all drugs. What could possibly go wrong with that? I'll tell you in just a minute.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Find great deals for outdoor work and play during Countdown to Summer at Fleet Farm. Going on now. Get a free $20 Fleet Farm gift card when you buy any St. Croix fishing rod. Or get a 3-pack of Berkeley Flicker Shad Minnows, just $9.99. Plus, find deals on our wide assortment of fishing gear from top brands. Countdown to Summer with savings for outdoor work and play. Going on now at Fleet Farm.
It's ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta, and I have told you about the delicious pizza and Italian snacks that you can find at Proof Pizza inside St. Kate the Arts Hotel. But now there's even more to be excited about. The restaurant has added new sandwiches to the menu. Available every day from 11 to 4, you can enjoy items like the Red Rock Chicken BLT, the Meatball Hero, and more. Order from the counter at Proof or directly from the bar at St. Kate. Explore the new sandwiches and the rest of the menu at proofpizzamke.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. Does your company feel a little out of sync? Or do you feel like your career path needs a little direction? You're not alone. At LAK Group, they've been helping people and companies get on the right track for the last 2 decades. They've been there, and they have a proven track record of improving company culture and helping people find meaningful career trajectories. LAK Group can help you discover your human advantage. Visit transformingcareers.com and find out more. LAK Group. Discover your human advantage.
If mom or dad aren't comfortable with assisted living, now's the time to have their home equipped to accommodate their needs. There's a huge customer appreciation sale going on at Miller Mobility, June 9th and 10th. Save on stair lifts, ramps, scooters, lift chairs, bathroom safety, and more. Miller Mobility can equip any home to accommodate everything a senior needs without moving into an assisted living facility. Mention this ad and save an additional 10%. See their huge showroom in Oconomowoc or visit millermobility.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Every once in a while, there will be things that you think is a good idea at the time, and then, after you put it into place, unexpected stuff happens, and you take a look at it and say, okay, well, maybe we thought this was going to be a good idea, but it just didn't turn out. And then other times, there's things that you do that or at least anybody with the common sense that God gave a goose would know this is just not going to work out. And yet people, because of political correctness or whatever, decide to go ahead and do this. Well, this is a story of that. Back in 2020, voters in the out-of-control state of Oregon voted for something called Measure 119. 58% of the voters in Oregon, and you can argue that these 58% might have been high at the time, 58% voted to decriminalize personal use amounts of hard drugs. Heroin, methamphetamine, fentanyl, all decriminalized. Cocaine, decriminalized. So for personal use sort of things. Now, what could possibly go wrong with that, right? And the idea was, Portugal decriminalized these things a few years back, but in Portugal, what happens is, if you're caught with these drugs, you are sent to mandatory treatment. And if you walk away from the treatment, you get locked up. So there are still consequences. And Oregon doesn't have that. So Oregon voters say, okay, we're going to decriminalize this. But here's the story. Support for drug decriminalization is waning among Oregonians as overdose rates and homelessness continues to increase. New survey out found 63% support reinstating criminal punishments for drug possession while continuing to fund drug treatment programs. Portland-based trial attorney Kristen Olson says Oregon has turned into an international spectacle. And I think we've looked at each other and realized that we made an enormous mistake. In Portland, what happened in Oregon, what happens is if you're found with cocaine or heroin or fentanyl or whatever, treatment is optional. Treatment is optional. They encourage people, hey, you're high as a kite, you're addicted to heroin or whatever. It might be a good idea to get treatment, but there's no consequence for this. 60% of voters said drug decriminalization has made addiction, homelessness, and crime worse. Yes. One of the people says, I don't think Oregonians want to restart the drug war. I think we didn't realize what we were signing up for was the deterioration of civilized norms and public spaces being ceded to people in late-stage drug addiction and engaged in all sorts of criminal activity to keep that addiction going. Yes, see, that's the other thing. All right, if you're a heroin addict, or you're a cocaine addict, or you're on methamphetamine, or whatever it is, it's not like you're a productive member of society. What are you doing to support that habit? Well, you're probably, stealing from people, engaging in all sorts of other antisocial behavior, maybe scoring the drugs and selling it to other people. This is the problem. And you're not helping people by not forcing them into facing some sort of consequences. Like I say, in Portugal where they did it, there was a consequence. They arrest you. You have to go to treatment. And if you walk away from the treatment, then you go to jail. So they have a way of forcing that. In Oregon, it's just, hey, Mr. Heroin addict, would you like to get some treatment? No, I want to continue to be a heroin addict, and I want to continue to live on the streets like this. It's been an absolute debacle. And I think it's one of these examples where, like I say, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's like, well, maybe this sounds like kind of a good idea, and then you're surprised when it goes bad. Okay, legalizing or essentially decriminalizing possession of hard drugs. In Oregon, it's turned it into like a cocaine and fentanyl and heroin and methamphetamine addicts' paradise with no consequences at all, and it's destroying the quality of life for everybody else. Who could have known? Oh, yeah, everybody. When we come back, something completely different. Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and executive producer of a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs from Wharton, MIT, and Stanford share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535.
In my job, I never held back. I played hurt, and I pushed through the pain. Sound familiar?
Football legend Emmitt Smith had a reputation for just grinding through the injuries and pain over and over. That may be you. And QC Kinetics sees patients every day who are exhausted from dealing with the persistent pain.
A lot of you work physically demanding jobs. You stand, you climb, you bend down, you reach up, and if you have joint pain, it takes all you got to earn a living. But it's time you know about QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics, the leaders in regenerative treatments, help relieve that debilitating joint pain without surgeries or downtime. These are natural solutions that use your body's own healing properties to give you lasting relief from the soreness and achiness.
You got a job to do. I get it. But now you don't have to suffer through the pain. Check out my friends over at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors. Certainty Diamond Level Select Shingle Masters. The best of the best. And that's why you can feel confident in choosing us to install your new roof.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Quality furniture that lasts. The good stuff. And because it's good quality furniture, it won't be the least expensive. But if you compare our caliber of furniture and our prices to the other higher-end furniture stores throughout Greater Milwaukee, you'll find that Ken Michaels Furniture is truly priced at a value. It's the kind of furniture you won't regret buying. The good stuff at good prices. Furniture for life at Ken Michaels Furniture. In Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee, browse our selection at kenmichaelsfurniture.com. We've been doing this for quite some time, so we know the value of solid wood furniture. But we found that using solid hardwood laminates actually make for sturdier, more versatile furniture frames. Frames on the Ken Michaels Furniture line are cross-grained, so weak spots like wood knots are eliminated. And unlike natural wood frames, ours don't expand and contract. So they're more durable, stronger, and of course, they last longer. Furniture for life at Ken Michaels Furniture Stores in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
This is an aside, but I love it when you notice things. All right, a few weeks ago, and with no fair and fair at all, we rolled out a new icon for the show, and our graphics department actually worked with us for a while, and my producer Charlie, who in addition to be a wonderful radio producer, has artistic talents, he sketched out some possible ideas, and then the graphics department came up and worked with some, and we ended up collectively, and I got a vote on this, but it was collectively deciding. And so what it is, if you go to, for example, the YouTube stream, up in the top left-hand corner, if you watch us live, it's a retro microphone, and it's on the podcast page and things like that. One of our very, very astute listeners sends me a text, Jeff, love the new Jeff Wagner Show icon with the retro microphone on the upper corner of the YouTube video stream. Absolutely. And I said, well, I appreciate that, because there was actually a lot of thought that kind of went into that with the colors and stuff. So I appreciate eagle-eyed observers. So yeah, that's the new icon. And if you do go to the podcast page and stuff, you see that as well. And it was actually the product of a lot of creative people, coming up with that. And I am not one of those creative people. I'm just the guy that said, okay, these are the different ideas, and I happen to like that one best. But it is kind of retro, because if you're a regular listener to this program, you know that I am old school, and there's no school like the old school. Okay, we've just got a couple minutes. I love to give a shout out to local/state businesses. There is a new survey out in USA Today, ranking gas stations across the United States. And let's see, it's got the top 10. Number 3 is Racetrack, and I know they have a lot of those in Florida. Number 2 is Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee is in the Midwest and the South. There's a handful of them in Wisconsin, I think Janesville and stuff, but not a lot. But number one in the USA Today ratings is Quick Trip. Quick Trip, of course, has, I think it was founded in La Crosse, 800 locations across Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, South Dakota, and Illinois. But it is a Wisconsin cultural statement. People love Quick Trip. And I know I love Quick Trip as well. And this is not to knock the other gas stations that are around, but if I'm ever in a situation where there's a Quick Trip versus a fill in the blank or fill in the blank, I'm going to the Quick Trip. And most people are. So we only got a couple minutes. Our number, 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. What is it about Quick Trip, for all you Quick Trip fans out there, what is it that people love so much? What is it that distinguishes Quick Trip from other places? Because let's face it, you can get gas pretty much anywhere you want to go. And a lot of places have convenience stores that are attached to them. But there's something about Quick Trip, I think, that distinguishes it from the rest. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Why is it that people love Quick Trip so much? First texter writes in and says, consistency. It is consistent. I think that's true. It doesn't matter what Quick Trip you go into, you're going to find, it's going to be the same. I think first and foremost to me, they're clean. I don't know how they are able to keep them clean, but when I'm going into a gas station and let's say I've got to use the restroom or something, man, I'm going to tell you, like last time we drove down to Florida, you'd stop at some of these places and you'd kind of go, I really got to go to the bathroom, but maybe I can hold it for another 20 miles or so, because, some of these restrooms were flat out scary. You never, ever, ever saw that, with the Quick Trips. You know what you're getting. Jeff, I love Quick Trip chicken, pork egg rolls, and the cheap lunches that they had. 855-616-1620. Jeff, I'm with you. For me, Quick Trip, it's clean restrooms. Jeff, for me, clean bathrooms. Everyone in the car can also go in and find something to eat, and they do have healthier choices. Jeff, Quick Trip is the bomb. It is. 855-616-1620. Dave in Random Lake. Dave, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I've probably been to every Quick Trip literally in Wisconsin. I'm a salesman. I cover the whole state for 30 years. They're clean, like you said. The bathrooms are nice. And, bananas are always cheap. As a salesman, I've eaten too many donuts, so you go in there, you can at least get a cheap banana. And plus, they always have plenty of other bad stuff to eat, too. But, yeah, they're bright. You can see in there. It's a great Wisconsin tradition, and I'm glad to see that they're number one.
Yeah, no, thanks. And I definitely agree. And the other thing is that especially you got some Quick Trips located in places where I don't want to say they're food deserts, but they offer alternatives. Now, I'm not saying it's the same thing as like a giant grocery store or something like that. But, you do have fresh produce that you can find. You have the fresh meats that you can find. They do a really good job of that. And like you say, Dave, you're absolutely right if you're looking for some of that bad stuff as well. But, gosh, I go into a couple like gas stations, convenience stores, and you walk in and there's a handful of donuts, and then there's the hot dogs that are going around in that little wheel of death that looks like they've been there for forever. And then you contrast that with Quick Trip. Let's talk to Matt in Germantown. Hi, Matt. You're on WTMJ.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes,
really
sir.
enjoy your show.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I just had to give a call in and shout out. I know the owner as well, and having been in the La Crosse area for some time, I worked for Reinhardt Foods. And one of the things they always did really, really well was kind of just-in-time inventory. It was Budweiser back in the 90s. But the cheap bread, the cheap milk, the milk in the bags, they really kind of pioneered a lot of that. And in a day and age where people would go into the store with credit cards, that was going away quite a bit. And they really kind of brought it back where you went into the store and you went into the gas station.
Right.
And they really kind of revolutionized that.
Right, and chances are you go into the store, and if you can make it an attractive experience and you can get people in the store, chances are they're probably going to buy something. Not all the time, but, you go in to use the bathroom because you're not afraid of that. And then you decide, hey, maybe I'll get a soda, get a cup of coffee, get a donut, or, something more than that. No, it's a great business model.
Absolutely.
No, thanks for calling. And I'm glad that they're getting the attention that they are getting, because it is a great Wisconsin company. And like I say, as somebody who travels a bit. You get your preferences, but for me, it starts out with cleanliness. And I'm not, Quick Trip gas isn't. Well, I don't want to generalize, but my general feeling is it's not always the cheapest. I mean, competitive, not necessarily always the cheapest. But if I have a choice between going to a quick trip, and even if I got to pay a couple cents more per gallon for gasoline, that's worth it, especially if it's one of these deals where I'm going to have to stop and I'm going to go in, I'm going to use the restroom, or I want a cup of coffee or want a donut. I'm just glad to see this. They are a cultural staple, and I'm glad to see that they're getting national attention. They deserve it. When we come back, speaking of well-deserved national attention, we're going to talk to Sandy Max, John McCure, and Greg Matzik with Wisconsin's Afternoon News. Do not go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after.